Because my team bring the steam like a wonder from an oasis. And the race is right. Now it's time to take my place in the sun. You can't deny the force. 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 You can't deny the force.
Resistance is futile. We got momentum approval. Invented on the dances cause our views get futile. It's brutal. So expensive, penny speed, and empty bars, symbols all suspended sense.
Self-suppression of evidence will be met with belligerence.
And you can hesitate penance cause like the present intent. Hence, your confession is expected if you think they were presented in a method. Yes, you guess it.
Blessed are we who come in the name of J.
Our word spreads like a
Oh, I declare.
It's a state of emergency, the president has sense. So don't expect the remedy, depend on humanity. If you don't forgive him, then you can't resist the skin. So give yourself a movement, it's still feeling the war, emotional war, you see.
Cross, cautiously. You can't deny the force.
No, you can't.
You can't deny the force. You can't deny the force.
No, you can't.
You can't deny the force. You can't deny the force.
No, you can't.
You can't deny the force. You can't deny the force.
No, you can't.
You can't deny the force.
It's like we're back in the studio. Los Angeles, 1997.
That's a good analogy.
Brett Gurwitz behind the controls. This is Brett. I don't need to tell the truth, but I never lie. I don't need to bow to you. You're just passing by. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I come back to you. Get inside my troubled mind with all of your threats. Sometimes I think I was blind, not before we met. I never wanted to be the one that you depend on for your life. When you cry, it smells like soup. Sound like showing a knife. Never think about what I said all night. I gotta ride. Each time I said all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all night. You're an evil little girl. I'm a twisted man, tearing through your perfect world. Make you understand. I never wanted to be the one you bitch and moan and come home to. But as long as you look good, I come back to you and do the things you do. Stay all night. I gotta ride. Each time I stay all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. I'm gonna stay all. I would never treat you bad. You deserve the best from me. If you want to keep your place, you better get down on your. Yeah, Todd wrote this one.
Yeah. You think?
This is not mine. I gotta ride. Each time I stay all night. No, I just might. You make me stay all night. It's just that side of you tonight that makes me stay all night. gonna stay all night. R.I.P. Todd.
Round robin. Your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play. Your best alternative line. Whatever you have. Text the round robin 757-354-5517.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose cross stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, take us that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the brave and the home of the brave.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
You are tuned in to the Round Robin with Stephen Murray on Deep End Broadcasting.
Still thinking about the night before my praise is all the bed. Way up ahead, I see the crowd flashing through red lights. I'd rather see the college.
I've always been a big fan of Thanksgiving football. First memories at my father, Uncle Myron's house, Long Island, New York. The New York Giants playing the Lions in the first game of the day. And Lawrence Taylor with the interception to the house of about 100 yards on the screen pass. And a room full of New Yorkers. The house erupted completely. And that was the birth for me for great Thanksgiving football. We've seen it all since. The coin flip with Jerome Bettis calling tails, and the referee said that he called heads. We've seen the butt fumble with Mark Sanchez running into the back of his own player. We've seen a ton. And here we are, another Thanksgiving here in the year 2023 NFL football, and we will break it all down for you this morning on our Round Robin Thursday Thanksgiving special, broadcasting live from the lovely Chicks Beach Studios in Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. All right, so if this is your first time catching us, we will do a full breakdown of the games today. We will have on our man Dave Del Grande from Field Level Media. He covers the Golden State Warriors in the San Francisco Bay Area, but he comes on. He's an old school beat writer, was on my show many, many years ago, and he joins us every episode of the Round Robin to discuss everything in the NFL and beyond, which pertains to him. We get into a variety of topics with Dave. And also later, Nephew Dave and the Ant-Man in studio as well. I think Nephew Dave had a nice winner here in the last day or so. Ant-Man's been red hot. So a lot of good angles, what we will bring to you all morning long. This isn't a sit and go type of show, people. This is one where you just put us on the sound. You kind of continue to do what you're doing for the morning, whether that is Thanksgiving prep, traveling. And if you are traveling, be safe out there. And you let it roll. You let it roll and soak it all in, because we are going to bring you a ton of knowledge as always. Again, just don't sit and go. Sit here, tune us in, make your coffee, do your things around the house, and play the volume as we will prep you here for the next 2 hours, seemingly on what will be just 4 football games. So we're going to get into it all. We'll go through alternative lines, props, touchdown scores, best plays of the day, survivor pool, fantasy. We will hit it all. All right, so a good slate of games today. Let's see where the odds are right now and see what kind of movement we've had here overnight. And we have a Black Friday game. There's a game tomorrow at 3 o'clock, so 4 games to discuss with you. All big numbers as well. Could be a complete bloodbath for the sports books if everything goes haywire and goes wrong here for the games today. Or will they be closer? Or will we get some Thanksgiving surprises? Much like the Raiders have done to the Cowboys, the Giants with a backdoor spread last year against Dallas as well. The Cowboys have not been good on Thanksgiving here in the last 15 years or so. I think they've just covered 5 times. So Washington getting a big number with them today. It looks like all the lines are basically the same as they were yesterday. So right now we have the Packers catching 7.5 at Detroit. 47.5. That is the 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard game. Washington at 4:30 p.m. will go to Dallas. They will catch 12.5 points over under 48.5 in that game. The 49ers are -7, 43.5 in Seattle tonight. It'll be a chilly night, but weather will not be an issue. So clear skies there for the Niners and the Seahawks. Their stadium now, Lumen Field, I believe is the name of that place, home of the 12th man. And tomorrow afternoon, we'll have about 50 degrees, decent conditions. The Dolphins -9.5 at the Jets, over under 41 is the total there. Exits is Zach Wilson for the Dolphins, and Tim Boyle will be on board for the Jets at quarterback tomorrow. So quarterback change there. Geno's a little banged up for the Seahawks, but he's a go tonight. No Kenneth Walker. We know that. Antonio Gibson could return for the Commanders this afternoon. He's the one wild card there. Cowboys have played very well at home. They've scored a ton of points at home. So we'll see if I don't know how that doesn't continue today, but we'll get through it all with everyone here today. And the Packers, they're the team who comes in the most banged up today. No Aaron Jones. He will be out. Reed is a little banged up. We may not see him. A.J. Dillon is a little banged up. Maybe a throw-heavy day for Mr. Love there, Jordan Love. So maybe some obscure plays as well today. You got to remember, too, also that Washington is very good in garbage time when they are down. They let it rip. They throw the ball a lot. So to think that Washington could get completely skunked here, they could, but if Dallas even does get off to a big lead, they could leave that back door wide open for Washington, who's covered a few of these spreads on their last drive or so here this year already. So keep all that in mind as we go through the card this afternoon. All right, let's look at the standings where everyone is right now with our playoff picture. As we are in week 12 already, just one more week. Actually, when we come on next week, next Sunday, we will be in December football. So 1 week from the Sunday, officially December football is underway. All right, on top of the AFC are the Baltimore Ravens. They would be your number 1 seed right now. They are a half game above the Chiefs. A lot of teams that still need their bye to play out. The Ravens are one of those teams. And actually, a couple teams, not as many as you would think now at this point, but there are a few teams that still need their bye. I think we have 2 bye weeks left, one of which is like 6 teams will be off, and then the other of which will be, I think, 2 teams will be off. So Dallas might be one of them. Nope. Okay. All right. So Ravens number 1, Chiefs number 2, Jaguars
would be your third seed right now. The Dolphins would be your fourth. In the wild card would be Cleveland, Houston, and Pittsburgh would be holding on to that last spot. Half a game out of Pittsburgh is Buffalo. They're just one back in the loss column. One full game out are Indianapolis, Denver, and Cincinnati. So all those teams very much alive. The Raiders at 5-6, still alive. And yeah, I mean, trailing, but technically, if you get hot, you still have a chance here. The Chargers and the Jets, both 4-6. Tennessee at 3-7. A much, much tougher task with their rookie quarterback at the helm at the moment at 3-7. And the Pats are the cellar dwellers at 2-8. The Pats, I'm wondering, are on I can't say that. I was going to say a potential system play, but the Giants have about the same record as they square off Sunday in the Meadowlands. On top of the NFC are the Eagles, 9-1. Lions would be the 2 seed right now at 8-2. 49ers, 7-3 would be your firm third seed. The Saints, division leaders of that very tight AFC or NFC South at 5-5 would be your fourth. The Cowboys, again, are going to have a better record than a division winner and have to go on the road in a wild card game. They are 7-3, wild card spot number 5. Seattle and Minnesota would lay claim to the next 2 slots. Seattle 6-4, Minnesota 6-5. So Minnesota, one of those teams who still has to have their bye play out. A couple games back of them, or a game and a half back to 2 full games back would be Green Bay, Rams, Falcons, Buccaneers, and Commanders. And then it drops off Giants, Bears, Cardinals, and Carolina 1-9. A very, very poor season for Carolina. All right. So weather is not an issue. We have the Dome game in Detroit. The Cowboys and the Commanders should be fine, good to go. In that, mostly enclosed the stadium, but we expect a warm day down there in Dallas. 49ers in a cooler evening game in San Fran. And tomorrow, the Black Friday game with the Dolphins and the Jets. Okay, we should probably get right on to it. We went ahead and grabbed Del Grande earlier, so we will go ahead and boot him in right now. So without further ado, from Field Level Media, Castro Valley, California, plans? Dave Del Grande.
No. My wife's family's from New York, and they have a huge family. My family's from out here, and we have a small family. And since we're out here, we have a small get-together.
Okay. So lots of sports for you? Is that the main menu for the next 4 days?
Yes. Definitely tomorrow. Definitely Thanksgiving. That should be an all-day, kind of like a Sunday feast, and good games, I think.
Okay, yeah. All right. Let's get into that in a second. Let's flash back to Monday real quick. Real cause for concern for the Chiefs moving forward. Really, I mean, mainly from their receivers. I mean, they still haven't got their act together. Plenty of football left. Plenty of detail that they can correct. Obviously, they lose at home. But I kind of said it earlier in the season. I've lost a little bit of faith in them. Where do you stand on that now?
Yeah, I mean, to me, what's impressive about the Chiefs and very understated is how good their defense is.
Right,
I mean,
their
defense dominated the first half of that game. And then the second half, the Eagles kind of figured things out and moved the ball better on them. But still, didn't, I thought the Kansas City defense, overall played very well in that game. And that's what you're going to have to do to win a championship. I think they have a championship level defense. You're right. They're going to have to figure things out offensively. But, with that quarterback and that tight end, you're 2 steps toward figuring that out. So, and also another thing is we've talked a lot about the relative power of the conferences. We started this year with the NFC being very top heavy, and then a huge drop off. What I said was after the third team, which was Dallas. Now the Lions have moved up, I think, to make it a big four in the NFC, and then there's the huge drop off. But the AFC has fallen apart. The AFC, I would have said at the beginning of the season, outside of the Eagles, the 49ers, and Dallas, I would have said the AFC probably had the next 8, 7, 8, even 9 best teams. Incredible depth in the AFC, including especially in the AFC North, where you had 4 really good teams. But now look at the AFC. I mean, Cincinnati, certainly a title contender, is completely out of the picture. Cleveland, who I thought, had a chance to win the AFC, they're now completely out of the picture. And Miami, which, started like gangbusters this year and still has a shot, they've kind of crashed back to earth. Buffalo, who, again, I think Buffalo has a really good shot, just because they haven't fallen off as much as some of these other teams have. But they're not the contender we thought they would be. Jacksonville, maybe they're kind of what we thought they would be, but we didn't really think they were a serious contender. I mean, who's left? That leaves Kansas City. I mean, I think they're a clear-cut favorite now in the AFC, to win, to make it to the Super Bowl, as opposed to the NFC, where it's a toss-up between the 49ers and the Eagles, and even making the NFC Championship game now is no sure thing for either of them, because one of them is going to have to beat Dallas, one of them is going to have to beat the Lions, which I expect them to do, but it won't be easy. I think in the AFC semifinals, could very well be Kansas City and Buffalo. And then, I mean, man, who are they playing? Miami, Jacksonville,
Houston, right?
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Baltimore, is probably now. Baltimore is probably the second.
They're the second favorite right now.
Yeah, they're probably the second team. The team Kansas City needs to worry the most about. But heck, I wouldn't even have picked Baltimore to win their division, over Cleveland or even over Cincinnati, had those two teams not lost their quarterback. So this is kind of how far the AFC has dropped. So I think Kansas City is as mediocre as they've looked. I think they're more of a favorite now to win the conference than they have been at any point this year.
2-1 odds for them to win it. Right now, you kind of stole my thunder talking about it. I was going to ask you if you had to attach yourself to, I'll give you a 4-team group in the AFC of the top teams, basically the guys you just mentioned, and those same 4 that you just mentioned in the NFC. Would you rather have either of the 4 in the NFC to win the Super Bowl right now, or either of the 4 in the AFC?
Well, again, I think, it's one of those things. The NBA is kind of like this too. You might think in the NBA that the Bucks and the Celtics are clearly the top 2 teams in the NBA, but they both can't make the finals. And they're probably a 50-50 shot if they make the Eastern finals of making the finals. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for either one of those teams to get into the finals. Whereas in the, you look at the West, and the path is going to be a lot easier. So you would think, well, let's just find a team in the West, and they could skate into the finals and then play, the survivor of the, this big series between the Bucks and the Celtics. I'd say the same thing, in football. I mean, this Philadelphia-San Francisco championship game in the NFC probably would go down as the Super Bowl, the top 2 teams. But neither team is a cinch to get there. And who do you really want to pick one of those 2 teams? And when it's basically a toss-up between the 2 of them, I'd pick somebody from the AFC, just because I think they're going to have an easier path to get there.
Right.
And if you really believe Kansas City is not as good as they have been in the past, then the door is open for you to pick anybody. This is one of the reasons I've been picking Cleveland. I think Cleveland has the best defense maybe in football, but certainly in the AFC. And and given Watson a quarterback and the direction they've been going, I thought they had a chance against anybody, especially because, none of these teams, other than Baltimore maybe, who Cleveland just beat, it really looks like they're trending in a good direction. So, I'm sorry to have to say this, but if I had to pick one right now, I'd have to go with Kansas City.
Right. Okay. All right. So Kansas City still with the high stock. If they do stumble here down the stretch, maybe have an injury, I don't know. Receivers still look like garbage. Week 15, 16, before they sit everyone, because they'll probably win that division by multiple games. Any of these numbers grab you? Buffalo, the 11th spot right now in the AFC. I figured this is too low. 14-1 to win the AFC. I would like a bigger number on them right now. Any faith in the Texans at all? If it's not Kansas City, could you see one of these higher odd teams, lower upper echelon of the AFC at a decent number? Would you buy any of those?
Well, we've talked about this a little before. I'm not crazy about these long-term, whatever the phrase is.
They should be higher odds, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's with the line, like you said, the way Buffalo's been playing this year, they should be 25-1 right now. And then you would think, wow, okay, because they got work to do just to get into the playoffs. They almost for sure aren't going to host any playoff games. I mean, they're going to have a really tough road, even though I still think they're a pretty good team. But it's like, come on, 11-1 or whatever you said they were. That's they're less than 50-50 to get out of the first round on the road. And so, I think if the odds were more realistic, then, I mean, it would be worth a shot to go with a real long shot, because I really think it's wide open. The teams that this sounds crazy because this team's about to fire their coach. But, I mean, why not the Chargers?
Right.
They're a good team. They lose every game by 3 points. But what if all of a sudden they start winning those close? I mean, certainly they have enough experience playing tight games that nothing, that comes up in the playoffs is going to surprise them. I think that offensively, obviously, they're as good as anybody. Come playoff time, I just think that, I mean, Houston is somewhat similar to them, but Houston has never been there before.
Right.
I'd be shocked if they went in and all of a sudden were able to, to beat some of these heavyweight teams in playoff type games. The Chargers have been there before. And like I said, there's just, you look at, I mean, the Jets, are they even still in it? I can't believe they're going to be, So, I mean, you're looking at Miami, and Buffalo as teams that you're going to have to beat.
The Jets are one game out of a wild card spot.
Right. And Buffalo, I think, and Chargers are 2. And the teams that are in those spots, though, I mean, Cincinnati's in one of those spots. They're not going to be there for long. I think Cleveland's in one of those spots. They're not going to be there for long. So the door is wide open for teams to move up, even 2 games out of the last spot. You can very easily move up into one of those spots. But again, you look at who you got to beat. There's going to be Buffalo. There's going to be Miami. There's not going to be anybody from the AFC South. And there's going to be Baltimore, and there's going to be Kansas City. I mean, those 4 teams are the teams that, if you're going to make it to the Super Bowl in the AFC, you've got to beat them. Well, none of those teams, scares me. And I don't know. I mean, I think the Chargers and other teams, I mean, probably Jacksonville as well, probably looks at those teams and says, you know what, we can beat any of those teams. And so I think the AFC really is going to be wide open. And if I had to take a long shot to make the Super Bowl, it would definitely come out of the AFC, and it would be the Chargers, or Jacksonville. One of those two, depending upon who had the higher odds.
Again, there you go. You stole my thunder because I was going to ask you if you have anyone kind of towards the bottom of the conference that may this is the time to buy their stock at very, very low. So you answered me with the Chargers. Do you have anyone in the NFC maybe to keep an eye on who can we always have the one or two teams this time of the year. They've had a terrible season, and here you go. They kind of win the rest of their games, win out, maybe find themselves in the playoffs. But, November, December football is just different from September. Anyone in the NFC stick out to you?
Wow. I mean, there really isn't. I guess if I had to pick one, outside of the top four, there's really nothing there.
How about this?
I'd go with New Orleans.
Okay.
I think New Orleans has, if they're healthy, Thomas, here we go again with Thomas getting injured again. But, Kamara's come back. Carr's been banged up, but not seriously. If they're, they could win their division, very easily, which is going to help. And that'll get them a home playoff game right in the first round. So instead of having to go to Detroit, Detroit's going to win their division. So it's probably, Dallas or, they end up playing Dallas in the first round, but they'll get that game at home. That gives you a shot at least in that first round, to advance. And again, it's a process of elimination. I don't see Seattle being that team. They're the second best team from the West. I don't see it. I don't see Minnesota being that team without Cousins.
Right.
They're the second best team in the North. The Giants, the Redskins. Now that's not going to be them. So to me, it's likely to come out of the South. And I don't think Tampa Bay can be that team. I don't think Atlanta can be that team. Certainly Carolina's not going to be that team. So why not New Orleans? That's again, process of elimination. I'm not giving you New Orleans because I really think they're any good. I'm giving you New Orleans because I think the contenders are bad.
The Chargers 65-1 to win the Super Bowl. The Saints are 60-1. I heard a stat this morning. Did you know that the Bears have the fifth best rushing defense here in the last 5 weeks? Or the first best rushing defense here in the last 5 weeks. So, and they've been playing competitive, 3-7. You don't expect a playoff run, but maybe you might get some good numbers on them still down the stretch here. Playing hard
I find that hard to believe. I mean, with Jefferson coming back to Minnesota, even without their quarterback, and they've got a nice lead on Chicago right now. I can't believe Chicago is going to catch them in the standings. Green Bay is actually playing a little bit better. I don't know if they play again this year, but that wouldn't be an easy. That division has kind of quietly snuck up to be a very competitive division. Obviously, playing the Lions, which I think maybe they've already played twice, is no easy shake anymore. I don't know. I look at the South and say, New Orleans should beat Carolina and Atlanta and even Tampa every time they play them. Whereas you look at Chicago in the North, Detroit's better than them. Minnesota's probably better than them, and Green Bay's probably equal to them. I just don't see Chicago going on that kind of run.
Okay, with 3 games on Thanksgiving and 1 on Black Friday. So let's go ahead and hit those up, and we'll get the rest this weekend. First one right out of the gate, Green Bay at Detroit. The Lions minus 7.5 right now. Over under 46.5. I know you don't like laying big points. When I look at this slate for today, this really could turn into a bookie's nightmare if all things go wrong for them with all these favorites playing teams that you really do think that they will beat. Green Bay, of course, they're coming off the win against the Chargers last week. It was kind of amazing to watch that first quarter anyways. Both the Chargers and Green Bay traded possessions between the 40s. They had about a 20-yard field in which they played on for a whole quarter. So that was kind of nuts to watch. But Green Bay got pretty banged up in that win last week. You got to figure Detroit's pretty hungry as for a good Thanksgiving home performance. Again, they go flex their muscles here against a division rival, get a good win. Obviously, seeding is all still at stake here with plenty of football left to play. So 7.5 is the number, over under 46.5. Bunch of players hurt now for Green Bay. No Aaron Jones. Detroit has everything going for him. Come on, you're not going to win every week pretty. They do pull the win out last week against Chicago, who we just talked about. But is Detroit worthy of being this heavy favorite at home?
I don't think so. You mentioned who's hungry. This is Green Bay that was headed to the playoffs last year and got knocked off by the Lions in the last week of the season. I mean, if anybody's hungry for this game, it's going to be Green Bay. They're trending upward. Their passing game has really improved, and Detroit's passing defense is not very good. They've given up some big numbers in the passing game. I think that they've got, I want to say, 2 interceptions total over the last 4 games. I think, Green Bay is going to miss Jones, and for the biggest reason is because he's a nice pass catcher. But you're not going to beat Detroit running the ball. You're going to beat Detroit passing the ball. And Green Bay's got, all of a sudden these young receivers that Rodgers was complaining about. All of a sudden, they've got 3 really good, not really good, but 3 good young receivers on that team. They can match points with you, as they did last week with the Chargers when push came to shove and they needed that last drive down the field. They were able to do it. I think they can compete in this game. Detroit. The coach can't be happy about the way last week's game went. That was really embarrassing. How bad that game went. They should have lost that game to Chicago. Which is a weaker team than Green Bay, in my opinion. I don't know. I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game, and I think that Green Bay can hang in there. And Green Bay, if they fall behind, can backdoor in this game as well.
All right, 46.5 is the total. I could definitely see the fireworks. I could see the Packers. All right, so Packers point total 18.5. So that's too low for them.
Yeah, I like I said, I just losing their top back in some ways makes them a higher scoring team. I mean, they have to throw the ball now. They're not going to be, let's play conservatively and try to keep the score close. Your typical underdog mentality. Let's run the clock and play conservatively and not make any mistakes. Hang in there and try to get them at the end. That's not going to work when you've lost your top running back. And the defense you're looking at is much, much, much weaker against the pass than against the run. I like I said, I think this could be a fun game to take a couple of long shot props in this game. I got, of course, my boy Jameson Williams is really trending upward. By that, at a very slow pace, but on a constant trend upward. He had a touchdown 2 weeks ago that was called back by a penalty. Last week he gets a touchdown. They're throwing the ball to him. There's a lot of talk about more confidence. He played, I want to say, 75% of the snaps last week was a season high for him. They need him as a deep threat, and I think he's a real up and comer for them. He's a nice long shot in this game to score a touchdown. But I'll give you an even longer shot to score a touchdown. Is Green Bay has this guy, probably the equivalent of Jameson Williams, is a guy named Dontavian Wicks. He's your ultimate all or nothing guy. He's been catching, 2-3 balls every week, and it seems every one of them goes for 30 yards.
Right.
He's your catch one pass, and it could very well be a touchdown. in a game where I think Green Bay is going to have to throw the ball 35 to 40 times in this game. They've found a way to throw the ball to this guy 3 or 4 times a game in recent games. And like I said, it's, he's a touchdown waiting to happen. To me, he would be a really, really good long shot, score a touchdown guy. Him and Williams in a touchdown apiece parlay. Oh my God. You're paying for the whole restaurant, Thanksgiving feast.
Wicks is off the board right now. He'll probably pop on a little bit later. Let's see. Williams is on there at plus 350. Trending up for him. How about this? So you open the door for good passing yards for Jordan Love. So let's see where your threshold is on that. Let's see. 250 plus is plus 154. 275 plus is 3-1. If you think you can get over 300 against the poorest Detroit secondary, plus 550, how high would you climb that ladder, maybe?
Well, I think he's averaged over 300 in his last 2 games. I mean, he's really improving, and at the same time, his young receivers are improving. They seem to be gelling. I mean, they're headed in a good direction. I like the fact that this is a game where they would project to be behind most of the game. So, that you would think that would mean more passing. They're missing their running back. You would think that would mean more passing. And they're playing a defense that's not good against the pass. You would think that would mean more passing. So I don't see why he would have less yards than he's had the last 2 weeks, and he's trending upward there. I think, I take a shot with him at over 300.
Okay. Campbell is kind of stealing the page out of Bill Belichick's playbook with the running backs, switching them and how much he's running them per game. Last week, we just sat there and noticed, we're like, where's Montgomery? Where's Montgomery? As it was all Jahmyr Gibbs. Do you think it gets back to Montgomery this week?
Well, Montgomery scored, I believe, 3 touchdowns against Green Bay when they played earlier this year.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a wise choice. So much of Montgomery, obviously, is what happens at the goal line. Mm-hmm. And, he's really good down there. But like you said, they sneak Gibbs in there sometimes for no apparent reason. I mean, he's done fine, but you've got Montgomery just, we run it in with him. They're not, Goff is not going to sneak for or scramble for, rushing touchdowns. So, you don't really have to worry about that. And again, what I would say is a high scoring game, probably for 4 Detroit touchdowns, a minimum of 3, but possibly 4 Detroit touchdowns in this game. It wouldn't surprise me if Montgomery and Gibbs each got 1. I mean, again, this isn't a prolific passing team. They get down by the goal line. St. Brown is a really good between the 20s kind of receiver, move the chains. You get down by the goal line. You're looking for a bigger target. They don't, that's not him. I mean, Laporta is probably your best target there, and they don't throw to him that much down there. So this is where Gibbs catches a pass out of the backfield, or more likely they run it in. They did this all last year with Williams last year, and we led the league in touchdowns, and then they got rid of him, and now all of a sudden here's Montgomery, and he's up there in touchdowns. So I can see them coexisting in a high-scoring game because I just think each one of them's got a real good chance to score a touchdown.
All right. Let's see here. Receiving prop-wise, your boy Jameson's just 21.5. Josh Reynolds, 21.5. Gibbs, 27.5. Laporta, 45.5. St. Brown, 81.5. Watson, 42.5. It took him a while to show up last week. You're right. Green Bay has a number of different guys they've been distributing the ball to. Dobbs, 37.5. I don't know. Go ahead and give me a sure thing lock on anything that we talked about that we can make our little simple non-greedy ticket with.
I would have to go with Montgomery scoring a touchdown would be my, the one thing that I feel most confident about in this game. I think, to me, the Green Bay receivers, their totals are all, we kind of had this in one of the games last week. You've got three different guys who spread the ball around. You're never really sure who's going to have a big game. But there's three of them. And in a game like this, they don't throw the ball to the tight end. They lost their pass catching back. They're going to have to throw to their wideouts. There's a chance that all three of them are going to go over their total, but 2 out of 3 are going to go over their total for sure. So, if you played all three Green Bay receivers over their receiving total, you're going to win 2 out of 3 there. Now, that's not on our sure thing ticket. And that's the problem with Green Bay here is that they spread things around a lot. And so, whereas Detroit, the one thing that you can count upon when, Detroit playing is they're going to rush for at least 1 touchdown and maybe 2. And when they do, it's generally Montgomery more times than not that gets that touchdown, especially if they get 2, then he can get 1 and Gibbs can get 1. So I'm going to give you Montgomery to score a touchdown as the best play in this game.
Minus 145 for that. 4-1 odds if he gets for 2. Okay, let's get to the next game. Again, if all these favorites just do their job and wax their opponents, this could be an ugly day for the bookie. This line all the way up to 12.5 now with Dallas. Wow, that's a lot. Over under 48.5. The Commanders, after a horrendous loss at home to the Giants last week, a lot of people getting booted out of the Survivor on that one. Whatever Survivor was left. You lost about half the crew on the Commanders. Cowboys now at home. They've been feasting, no pun intended here, on Thanksgiving on the lesser competition. 48.5 is the total. It seems like to me the Commanders in recent years have played the Cowboys fairly tough, though, in this very same scenario. 4:30 p.m. is the kickoff here. That's a big number for Dallas, Dave, right?
Yes, it is. This game, to me, is very similar to the first game, except that you don't have I'm sure Washington's got plenty of motivation playing Dallas, from past losses. But at least, with Green Bay, they still got to be stinging from that game that they lost to them last year. They get national TV, for this, for a revenge game. I don't think Washington has that, but Washington does have a lot of what Green Bay has, and that is a really good passing game. You're not going to run the ball on Dallas, and Washington isn't going to run the ball anyway. So that's not a problem. I think they'll air it out. Very similar to the earlier game. I think that, Dallas could get a big lead, but Washington has, the assortment of receivers and certainly a quarterback that's going real well, that they can score those 2-3 second half touchdowns that all of a sudden, oh boy, Dallas wasn't just ahead, 21-3 at halftime. Well, the game ends up 35-24 or something. And you got backdoored. I think, like Green Bay, Washington's got that potential. I just, to me, the better play in this game is the over, just like the morning game.
48.5. Yep.
Yeah. I think that, I think that Washington, Washington gives up a lot of points. They probably got the worst pass defense in the league, which is, good for high scoring games. I think Dallas is going to be able to pass the ball at will against them. And Washington has the capability of matching points to a certain degree. They've got, because they had injuries earlier this year, they've got 3 or 4 receivers now who all seem to be very capable, and I think they're all healthy now. McLaurin, obviously, is their leading guy there. But I think that's good for Howell. I think Howell will have a real nice passing totals in this game. And, I don't think Washington's going to win this game, but I do think when all is said and done, they could easily be within 10 points.
17.5 are the Commanders' total points. Yeah, I could see that going over.
Yeah, I mean, right. And again, you think, the way that if Dallas were not scoring points in this game, then I think Washington would have trouble scoring points as well. I mean, the more Washington thinks, we got a chance to win this, let's turn conservative, let's run the ball. Dallas isn't, if Prescott were to get injured and they put their backup quarterback in there and all of a sudden Washington went into we're playing the Giants all of a sudden. Let's just run the ball every down. Then that changes everything. But in a game where I expect them to be behind because their defense is so bad the whole way, then, I just think that either A, they're going to be able to, keep it competitive by matching touchdowns, or B, they're going to fall far enough behind that Dallas is going to let them score some late touchdowns. We've seen this in a couple of Dallas games this year where, Dallas gets way ahead and, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's just happened in the Carolina game where, Dallas ends up giving up 15 or 17 points or whatever it was, to a very bad offensive team that they were blowing out. Now, this is not one of those bad offensive teams. This is a very good offensive team. And so, even if Dallas is way ahead, I think that helps the total as well, because I think Washington can come back.
And Sam Howell has been actually money in garbage time, to be honest. So his passing yards are 251.5, 275 plus is plus 162, 300 plus is plus 290. He's gotten over 300 a few times, so good shot here. Yep.
I think so. Like I said, it is very similar to that first game, except that Washington's got a better passing game than Green Bay does. Howell's much more proven than Love. I think that's a very good play. Again, and I've got a super sleeper long shot that won't even be on your board yet. But it's worth looking for the surprise scorer of this game.
All right.
I was noticing that Dallas has allowed touchdowns to guys named Cager and Treble last 2 weeks.
Tommy Tremble, yes.
Right. I mean, two unknown tight ends. Washington has one of these guys. Washington has a guy by the name of John Bates.
Yeah, plus 850.
He's okay. There we go. I mean, they're not going to run it in down by the goal line. They're going to throw the ball. He's a guy that's been targeted, just 2 or 3 times a game. I don't think he's scored his touchdown yet. But he's, this is why he's plus 850. He's going to get a pass in the end zone. In this game, the question is whether he's going to catch it or whether whether he's interfered with or whatever. He's a nice long shot. Something to sweeten a parlay with.
And on the Cowboys side, they had that guy last week in Schoonmaker actually score for themselves. He's 5-1. Wow, yeah, the Bates Schoonmaker parlay would pay really nice. How about that?
Well, Dallas, there's a you talk about your sure thing in the first game. There's more of a sure thing in this game here because Pollard is going to have a monster game.
Right.
He not only because he'll be able to run the ball against a bad defense, but Washington's pass defense is terrible, and Pollard is a really good pass catcher, and so he's going to, in my opinion, be able to complement his total with decent passing numbers here. I could easily see him getting a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. I just think Washington's given up big numbers to running backs this year, and here we go with a guy who's catches the ball well as runs the ball well. I mean, he's your he's going to score a touchdown. He'll probably score 2 touchdowns. He'll have a receiving total, which he'll probably go over, and he'll have a rushing total, which I don't know how high it's going to be, but he'll have a chance to go over that as well. I think you got to get him involved in as many ways as possible, because he's the he's the guy that Washington is not going to be able to deal with in this game.
Tony Pollard is minus 220 for 2 touchdowns, just plus 220. Rushing yards over 59.5 is the baseline. Receiving wise, his baseline is going to be off the board at the moment, but that will come back on here soon. So minus 220, is that your best bet?
Well, I mean, it's I'm not crazy about laying 220,
right?
But yes, I mean, I think that's if you're talking about, give me one thing that I'm most confident in. Yes, I would go with that. But I'd also, if you really think that he's going to have a big game like I do, I would parlay 2 touchdowns with rushing total over and passing total over. And, as something that, well, if he really does have a big game like I expect, then he's a good chance he'll get those 2 touchdowns. Possibility he could go both over on both of those numbers. Then you make yourself a nice little, just by correctly projecting what one guy is going to do in the game, you can turn that into a real nice parlay where, you're going to end up getting, 8 to 1.
Yeah, you're going to get about 7.5, 8 to 1 once his receiving pops on here.
So that's he's like I said, I'm not crazy about laying 220, although I would put him into the sure thing parlay. But on our side parlay, I'd go for the hat trick with him over the receiving yards, over the rushing yards, and 2 TDs, and hope for the best.
They've been feeding CD Lamb every game. He's been getting a touchdown. He's just minus 105. So any interest there?
Yeah, I mean they do. It's like McCarthy understands fantasy football. I mean,
right.
It's really surprising when they get ahead in these games and Lamb hasn't done much of anything. Why in the world are they throwing him the ball, and trying to get him a touchdown early in the fourth quarter of a game that they're already winning by 4 touchdowns? It's like, well, McCarthy has him on his fantasy team. So, yeah, they seem to find a way. I mean, not that he may not need that kind of help this game, the way this game's going to go. But if it does, and, Pollard's really dominating the first half, the first 3 quarters, and Dallas is way ahead, they'll call that play for Lamb that, can be the difference maker.
Ferguson's another favorite of that. He's plus 180, and complete disappearing acts by Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks here for the most part this season overall. Washington, they have a ton of mouths to feed as far as touchdown scorers go. Who would be your best bet for a touchdown scorer for them?
Well, it would have to be McLaurin because, just because.
Plus 210.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, it is kind of like the Green Bay receivers. There's so many of them that even if you said, well, the quarterback's going to throw 3 touchdown passes. So it's a good chance you can, pick one guy and you're going to be right. But, that's not the way I like to do it, especially with Green Bay, who really is, the spread, 5 to 8, targets for, each of 3 or 4 guys. Washington's a little different just because McLaurin tends to get 8 to 10 targets every game. And in a game like this where maybe they throw the ball even more than usual, you project him to get 10 targets. He gets 10 targets, he's going to score a touchdown.
Right. Okay. So it's 18 to 1 for each team to score a touchdown in each half of every game on Thursday. From the sound of things, it sounds like our Green Bay game, Detroit game would be in that category. Dallas and Washington would probably be in that category as well. if we want to take the long shot. I have a feeling this might be where it falls apart, though, on Seattle's behalf. 49ers -7 at Seattle. Over-under is 43.5. The Seahawks seemingly were in slight control of the game against the Rams all of last week before they lost it at the end. Niners really not without an issue. Played out exactly how you said against Tampa Bay last week. Winners at home there. The 49ers on the road have been better than Seattle here in recent games that they've played. Does this continue tomorrow night or Thanksgiving night?
Yeah, of the three games, you're right. This one projects to be far less scoring, far less wide open, more competitive. This seems like a bigger game than the other two because it's Seattle. Seattle isn't just playing for pride like Green Bay and Washington is in this game. Seattle thinks that they're still in it, which they are still in it. But they played the 49ers twice in the next 3 weeks. This is the one they got to get. They get swept by the 49ers in those games. They're not only out of the division picture, they may be out of the wild card picture in the entire NFC. So this is one that they really need. I think this is going to have a playoff type atmosphere. The weather, obviously, the weather's not going to be a factor in Detroit. And Dallas, you don't usually, worry about that. The weather could be a factor in this game. Of all the three games we're talking about, it's going to be cold, if nothing else. This just looks like a playoff game to me. It could be, if Seattle, is surprisingly good, they've done well against the 49ers in recent years, and I think they can hang in there with them. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game at all. I think the 49ers are the better team. I think the 49ers could really put the defensive clamps on Seattle, now missing their top running back. And so, I don't know. I mean, this isn't, like I said, this isn't like the first two games where I feel confident that, Seattle's down 24-10 and they get the ball with 2 minutes to go. They'll drive down and get that touchdown that'll backdoor. That's not going to, that's not, Seattle doesn't have that kind of firepower against this kind of defense, to be confident that that's even a possibility. So and you're right about the, I really like the one touchdown per team in the first two games, but this one here is far bigger question mark. And so, this is, I guess this is where you earn your money. If you really think that, Seattle's going to have to find a way to score a touchdown in each half of this game. I'm not confident that they can do that. So I don't know. It's to me, the best game from a football standpoint, the worst game from an entertainment and fantasy standpoint.
The one prop I was looking at that kind of has stuck out to me the most would be Geno Smith under 236.5 passing yards. Just for everything that you said, where San Fran could put the clamps on, that gives me a little bit better feeling about that. As far as my first instincts go. And I've been trying to fade Geno here, and I think rightfully so, and to good success as well. Geno for a pick, his under passing yards, all that's fair game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think of all the things, from the Seattle point of view in this game, that makes perfect sense. I don't see him having a big game. My concern there is that, without their top running back, at least when you've got your top running back, you can game plan in a game like this where, as opposed to the first two games, I think Seattle's mindset in this game is, look, let's play conservatively. It's, the weather's bad. It's a big game. Let's run the ball on them. We think our defense can slow them down. Let's try this for a quarter and a half and let's see where it gets us, and then adjust from there. And so you buy yourself 20, 25 minutes of very low scoring football. I just don't see them without the running back here. I just don't see them going into the game with that kind of mindset. Maybe they will, but I just think that the first time they get the ball and they hand to Charbonnet up the middle, gains 2. Hand him again up the middle, he gains 2. Third and 6, you throw incomplete. You look at the offensive coordinator and say, this isn't going to work. Scratch that. Series number 2. Let's go back to the game plan we had against the Redskins a couple weeks ago. So that would be a concern of mine, is that they ditch the running game pretty early and they throw more balls. But the 49ers have their pass rush is as good right now as any team in the league. And their defense is, I think, is very strong. I can't imagine Geno Smith having a big game.
Charbonnet over under 55.5 rushing yards for him. Too low? Right where it should be.
High.
Too high. So under for him.
Yeah. I saw him play a lot in college. He played at UCLA. He's a big, slow back who's, overpowered guys in the college game. He's someone he's a battering ram kind of guy. You run him between the tackles. He's not a guy who's going to break one for 20 yards. He can, if you got a big offensive line and you think you can dominate the opponent up front, you run him up the middle time and time again. And he gets you 5, he gets you 7, he gets you 4. Move the chain kind of guy. But this isn't that kind of defense. I just can't imagine. Without that 20-yard run, which really takes a big chunk out of that rushing total, I just don't see him. In a game where they're probably going to be behind, I don't see him getting more than 15 carries in this game. And he's going to have to average 4 yards a carry to get to that total without any big chunk, gains. And I also think it's possible he will end up running the ball 8 times because they go to more of a pass catching back on third down or whatever. So no, I would think that, like Smith, I would think that his total would be under this game.
All right. So that automatic fade of mainly, you could probably fade everything. Seattle, maybe. How about 62.5 for DK then? Under for that?
The difference with him is he has big play potential.
Right.
You throw him one, and he breaks a tackle, and next thing you know, he's run for 30 yards. Now he's halfway to that total. Now he's 2 or 3 catches away, from beating you, and he's going to catch 6 passes in this game. And so if he can get one pretty long gainer, then he's going to get over that number. So I certainly wouldn't take under that number.
Why do I have a feeling it might be a big game for Kittles, or a decent game to at least get over 48.5?
Well, to me, the guy I would take in this game is Samuel. And the reason is, this is, I think if you go back and look at the 49ers, I don't know, this is just the way it seems to me. They seem to alternate weeks as to who the guy is that they feature. 1 week it's Ayuk, the next week it's Samuel. Next week it's Ayuk, next week it's Samuel. Well, last week it was Ayuk. So I think it's Samuel's turn in this game. Seattle's got some, traditionally they have some really athletic linebackers who maybe can hang with Kittle in the short zones, keep his numbers down. I just think that, somebody's going to have a nice week. Obviously McCaffrey almost always does. But among the pass catchers, to me, the best play is going to be Samuel. I think he's going to, he's going to go over his number without even knowing the number.
45.5, pretty low.
I was going to guess 64.
Wow.
So yeah, I think he's easily over that number, and he'd be just short of McCaffrey. he'd be the one guy I'd take a shot with to score a touchdown, for the 49ers.
Plus 164 for 60 yards, plus for Debo. I'll get to the anytime touchdown in a second. How about McCaffrey? Just 32.5 for his receiving yards. And if you get him to 60, you're getting paid really, really good. I mean, that just takes one break for him. But how about baseline for 32.5 receiving yards for McCaffrey?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to take a closer look to see how Seattle's done defending,
Right.
The pass and running back. Because my recollection of a Seattle team is they have the type of linebackers who can hang with tight ends and with running backs coming out of the backfield. I wouldn't be surprised if you looked at Seattle's totals for the year that they, more times than not, they haven't given up 32 yards receiving to a running back. And while McCaffrey is, better than, maybe anybody Seattle's played so far, or certainly right up there, I don't see that as being a big thing in this game. I think they'll be able to run the ball, I think, effectively against Seattle. But I think he'll get his rushing numbers. I think he'll get his touchdown or two. But I don't know. If I was going to look at who's going to get the passing yards, again, I would take Debo.
Okay. Seattle under 17.5 points, total points.
That I like that. I like a lot of things under with Seattle
Right.
in this game. And again, that's not to say Seattle's going to get blown out. I think they can hang in there, but I just don't see this. I don't see the 49ers putting up more than 24 points in this game. And if Seattle can score their, get their field goals, get their 13 points, their 16 points, they can keep the game close. And as the weather gets colder later in the game, then they're that one turnover away from possibly winning this game, or from tightening it up at the end. I just think that it's there's a lot to like with taking anything under on the Seattle side.
Right. Okay. So what's your best play? Would it be a Debo over 45.5, or do you want to fade Geno or take an under with Seattle?
I'm tired of taking the big favorite. And so I'm going to take Debo over his receiving yards in this game.
Okay. 45.5 there. So we
got Montgomery scoring a TD. We got Pollard scoring a TD, and we got Debo over his over his passing yards. That's a nice, it's not, you're not going to break the bank with that, but you're, win the first one, move on. Win the second one, move on. And that's what we want. You want a live ticket with two legs having one going into that night game.
Okay, and we can juice it up with one more here on Friday, our first ever Black Friday game. The Dolphins laying over a touchdown, minus 9.5 at the Jets. Over under is 41. Boyle is now in for the quarterback for the Jets. They've seen enough of Wilson. I think everyone's seen enough of Wilson. We can't stand to see him on prime time or national television in this case anymore. Here are the Dolphins. Hey, the Raiders covered. I said watch out for that last week, and sure enough, and really Miami was a victim of their own circumstance there. So you're going to expect them to maybe correct things, but here we are. It is on the road. New York weather is going to be a little bit dicey potentially. It's going to be cooler anyway. Weather in Seattle, by the way, looks like that's going to be about 40 degrees for the 49ers and the Seahawks. But midday Friday is going to be about 50 degrees at kickoff for the Dolphins and the Jets. We don't know this Jets quarterback too well. Maybe you know him. I don't really know him that well. So it's going to have to be anything Miami for me or nothing here. 9.5, 41. Can the Dolphins find their high-flying ways back again? Kind of like how Buffalo was able to kind of right the ship against the Jets last week. Maybe poor offense by the Jets will be a product of better offense here for the Dolphins, as it were the case for the Bills last week. What do you got here?
Yeah, this is a tough game for me because I have no confidence in the Jets quarterback. I mean, he's someone who played for Green Bay, and I remember him. I mean, he's very similar to Wilson. He's got a strong arm, and just doesn't really know how to use it. And that's not really the Jets aren't this, throw the ball all over the ballpark, kind of team, wing it and take our chances. They're coached by a defensive-minded coach who believes that, no mistakes. Our defense can keep us in the game, which, it has on several occasions this year. Unfortunately, they haven't played this type of offense. You're not going to beat Miami playing conservatively, because they're going to find a way, even against a good defense, to get some big chunk plays, the big touchdown pass to Hill. It's kind of like the Raider game last week. The Raiders played very well in that game. They played very well defensively, and they still lost by 7, and they easily could have lost by more than that. I just don't see how the Jets score points in this game, and eventually that's got to bring them down. I think their defense, for a long period of time, maybe even into the third quarter, you can sack Tua. You can force him into mistakes. He and the Jets have the type of defense, I think, at home that can do that for a while. But it just, at some point, your offense has got to score some points, and I just don't see where that's coming from. I don't think this is a move to a better quarterback. I think this is probably a move to a worse quarterback. Even against Miami's defense, I just don't see the Jets, short of getting, a scoop and score or getting a defensive score. I just don't see the Jets scoring, more than 13 points in this game. And there's no way you're going to beat Miami. I don't care how good your defense is if you only score 13, because they score, 17 points in their sleep. So it's not a game that I like a lot. I don't think Miami's going to have a big offensive game. I don't think Jets are going to do anything offensively. I think that, I think that the defenses in this game are going to be the story of this game, and how well the Jets defense does is going to dictate how close this game is. I've still got confidence in the Jet defense, but not enough to say that they could possibly win this game. So to me, there's nothing there. I can't imagine there's anything there, short of, the number of sacks or number of interceptions or some kind of. I'm tired of giving you defensive scores because I'm never right on that. But I do think that the defenses will be the story of this game.
All right, the Jets' total points are 14.5. So that would be an under there. Dolphins is 26.5. So maybe that sounds like too much as well.
It does. I don't see Miami, having a big offensive game here. Again, short of a lucky interception return for a touchdown, which is very possible against a young quarterback. But Miami's not the type of elite defense that is going to get to the quarterback, force fumbles, force interceptions. I mean, they're decent. They're a very average defense, but I wouldn't project them to get a defensive score. So, man, to have to score, probably 5 times, 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals, to get to that number. To me, the Jets at home, I just have enough confidence in their defense to say I don't see that happening. And I think that goes with, with the Jets under as well. I mean, if the Jets aren't scoring, then Miami won't score because they won't feel they have to.
Right.
And
let's just get out of here and get a win.
Right. It's kind of like that Jets-Giants game where the other team's not going to score, so we're just going to run it 3 times and punch. Obviously Miami's not going to play that way, but why take any chances if the other team, the other team can't score more than 10 points against us. So why would we try to score 27? Let's just get our 1 or 2 touchdowns and let the defense take care of the rest. Walk away from this game with a 17-9 win. That puts everybody to sleep, but that's okay because it's nice to take a nice nap on Friday after all the Thanksgiving excitement.
I'll give you one over for on the Jets side, prop wise, that I would look at actually, and it stems from having the young quarterback, and he's going to have to probably scramble at times, dump it off. So that being said, I would look at Breece Hall over 25 receiving yards at -110.
Yeah, I just don't know. To me, this quarterback doesn't seem to be the style that's going to dump the ball off to the back. He seems to be, he's a big, strong arm guy who likes to throw the ball down the field. He throws the ball 100 miles an hour. He's Dan Marino. Dan Marino didn't dump the ball off to his back. He threw the ball 30, 40 yards down the field every play. And that's kind of, with this guy, he's got that kind of an arm. I don't think he's got a change up. He's got all fastballs. I don't know that much about him. I just, kind of remember what, when he came into the league and what he was all about and how he never really panned out. Obviously, if they thought this guy was any good, they would have put him in a long time ago because it was pretty clear that Wilson wasn't the answer many, many weeks ago. So I just have no confidence in him. I wouldn't want to attach him to any plays.
Under yards for him is 158.5 passing for Boyle. So they're not expecting much from him at all. How about 2 passing touchdowns? Over under 1.5 is -114. I don't think you'll ever get it that low.
Well, again, I don't. I just don't. I have confidence in the Jets defense. I don't want to try to project anything over on the Miami side, just because I don't think that they're going to have the incentive to put up. Once they get ahead and they see how bad the Jets offense is, they're really not going to have any incentive to throw the ball down the field. The last thing they want is to be ahead, 17-3 in the third quarter and decide, all right, let's go for the knockout blow. Let's throw a deep ball. And Tua gets sacked and gets hurt and he's out, out for the season. And then you ask yourself, why in the world were we throwing the ball ahead 17-3 when we had the game won? And I just think that, he's a quarterback who's vulnerable to get injured. He stands back there. He gets hit a lot. The Jets have a good pass rush. I don't think they want to take any chances. Like I said, it's the middle of the third quarter, and normally you'd think, all right, well, Tua, heck, he can throw a couple of touchdown passes in the final 20 minutes of the game. He might not throw any passes in this game in the final 20 minutes, and you're sitting on your 1 touchdown and thinking, oh my goodness, why did I do that? Why is he only throwing 18 passes in this game? Well, because that's all he needed to throw. In fact, he probably only needed to throw 8 the way this game, could go. So I don't want any part of anything over in this game.
Okay. Last little thing here. So for a sure bet, we could take Dolphins to win at halftime and to win the game is -220. We could take the Jets under 14.5 if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to get a more of an even money play, you could take the result of the first drive, a punt, at -105.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's either team. So
that's either team. Yep.
You're praying the Dolphins win the toss. They elect to
Yes.
kick off.
Yes.
The Jets get the ball first. Even if the Miami got the ball first, the chances of them having a big drive on the first drive against the Jets team that, probably at that point is still fired up about, hey, we can beat these guys with our defense. That's the best thing I've heard so far. By far the best thing I've heard so far is a punt on the first possession.
Okay.
And then just hope that, the idiot doesn't throw an interception.
Well, you could that'd be an early day to not worry about things as well. Okay, so our automatic ticket is Montgomery for a touchdown, Pollard for a touchdown, Debo over 45.5, and a first drive punt for Miami and the Jets.
Man, count me in on that.
8-1 odds. So there you go. 8-1. 8-1 overall. Yep. All right.
I like it.
Okay.
I have a rooting interest on Friday. First time I've ever, probably first time I've ever had a rooting interest in the coin toss. Come on, Miami, win the coin toss. That increases the odds of this significantly.
Any other long shots that you may take a look at for anything that we talked about? Yeah,
well,
you mentioned the receivers.
I've given you long shots.
Right.
Wicks to score a touchdown,
Right.
Baker to score a touchdown, Jamison Williams, who is no longer a long shot, score a touchdown. My long shot in the Seattle game to score a touchdown. They actually gave this some thought. The 49ers, it's hard to pick a long shot because, they're basically there for, unless you go with the fullback. But their big four tend to score most of their touchdowns. So it'll probably be somebody on Seattle. I'm going to say, without a running game, if they get down, and Gino's not a guy who's going to scramble for a touchdown very often. I think if they get down by the goal line and they're, trying to punch it in, they'll have to throw the ball. And they've got a big tight end, Parkinson, who's, I remember him playing for Stanford. Like this 6'7" kid. He might be that goal line target that they throw the ball to. San Francisco lost their strong safety, Hufunga or whatever his name is.
Right.
So they're, the guy that would match up with the tight end, he's not there anymore. All of a sudden, now you got a 5'10" guy guarding the 6'7" guy at the goal line. Pete has probably already recognized this. And I'm going to give you Parkinson as the long shot touchdown scorer in the 49er game.
10-1. And honestly, Kyle Juszczyk is due, right? Plus 900 for him. So
the difference is I put Juszczyk as the 5th or 6th most likely 49er to score a touchdown. In the Seattle, you would put Parkinson as at worst as the 4th best guy. And that's if Charbonnet's in there. If they're at the 1 yard line, then they'll hand to Charbonnet and try to punch it in. But if they're at the 3 or 4 yard line, I don't think they'll try that. I think they'll throw the ball, and if they throw the ball, probably not. Lockett's a little guy. They're probably not throwing it to him. They're not throwing it to the back out of the backfield. So it's either the big outside receiver or it's the tight end. And so I'll take my chances with that.
Okay. All right, Dave. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. And we will get back with you and discuss everything for Sunday. All right.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. Happy Thanksgiving. We will be right back after this. Actually, we'll stay right here. How about that?
How about it?
Commercial free this morning on the round robin NFL Week 12, David. Nephew Dave now in the studio as we'll take another look at all of these games. We'll see what angles he has, maybe. The Ant-Man as well. I think he'll pipe in here shortly. Although he did have a late airport run. He did text me at 2:20 in the morning asking me what time to be on. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see here, David. Survivor pool. That's where we usually start with me and you. Do you want to go down the list?
Yeah, we can do that, Steve. Let's get this queued up here. All right, Steve. Packers and the Lions. Maybe the Lions if you have them.
I would think so today, but Del Grande makes compelling arguments on the Packers, and it is Thanksgiving. I don't know, Dave. This could just be a bookie's nightmare, to be honest. Generally on this slate, and these big numbers that we're looking at, I just don't think I've seen, now we have 4 games too. I don't think I've ever seen it where the 3 games have been, this heavy of a favorite in every game. But here we are, and man, if these teams win by 2 or 3 touchdowns, I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath against some of these bottom feeders. I would say no, because Detroit scared me last week, only in that regard. And I didn't have them last week. They were option number 2 for me. I thought that they would cover the spread handily against the Bears and flex their muscles. They just came out flat and found a way to win at the end. The Bears were just the Bears. So I just don't trust them this week. So I will say no on the Survivor.
All right, Washington traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys.
Absolutely. If you have Dallas left, if you're still deep into Survivor, you likely don't. Dave, I've been correct on Survivor week every week that I played except for the week Dallas lost at Arizona. How about that?
Right.
That's the one that booted me from my initial Survivor. Otherwise, I would kind of be free sailing with my thinking here. As I'm still alive in my one pool, now down to 23 people. So I'm excited about that. But I used Dallas. If you have them, I think you could. They've just been so dominant at home.
Right. Niners at the Seahawks.
If you have to, again, I don't think you have the 49ers, but if you have them, I think you could use them. I don't get it. It's a tough divisional game. I'm not so sure this isn't a smoke job either, to be honest, a little bit.
Right.
There's something to say about wanting to pull away here in the division. Win now, maybe get your rest later a little bit when you need it. Although the 49ers are fighting for playoff seeding too. I mean, they feasibly could have to go on the road and have in the second week of the divisional playoffs right before the championship game and have to play on the wild card weekend.
Right.
So there's a chance there for sure. I mean, honestly, the Eagles are the only one you get one bye week now, right?
Yep.
So the Eagles would be the one team with a bye. Yeah, everyone else. All right, so they'd be kind of regarded anyway. That being said, you get that extra home game if you finish second and not third, and that's where they are right now. They are in third. They're behind Detroit. So I think a motivated San Francisco team, and yes, absolutely worthy of survival.
All right, Steve, the Dolphins at the Jets on Black Friday.
Right now, I have the Dolphins as my pick. I'm just going to fade against the rookie quarterback, and it scares the living hell out of me, to be honest. But a game Miami should win. I could change this. I haven't changed my pick at the last minute yet. The only one I could change it to are the 49ers. I'll give the Seahawks a pulse so they could keep that competitive, at least anyway. More so than the Jets. The Jets have been bad, actually. The Jets are the one team that I've been able to go against with success every week, to be honest. It's like if you go against the Patriots and the Jets, you're a millionaire right now.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Steelers at the Bengals.
For Sunday games.
Are we doing those?
We'll get to those on Sunday.
All right, let's
make it. Some people have the Survivor where you have to play today, and then again on Sunday day.
Right.
Okay, so those are the options for Survivor. I would say any of the favorites. The numbers are worthy of it anyway, for sure. There is line movement too this morning. The Cowboys now 13.5, 48.5. That game 4:30 p.m. Eastern. The 12:30 game, of course, as always, on Thanksgiving Day here, -8.5, 47.5. 49ers 7 and 43.5. That's the same tonight. Same spread tomorrow. Miami 9.5, 41. All right, Dave. Any special Thanksgiving memories for you watching football at all? Classic skin games or anything like that?
Well, I'm sure there is, Steve, but they don't get the Thanksgiving every year. I think of the one.
You've been on plenty, at least of my kidhood too.
Yeah. So there is the one game I'm having trouble thinking of it. It was when the Skins won on a blocked field goal. They ended up getting in field goal position due to a face mask penalty, and they kick a long field goal and win that game. I can't remember exactly what year it was.
Oh,
but,
wow. Okay, cool.
I do believe it was only just a couple years ago. They were the Redskins then, so if that tells you. I don't think it was too long ago, Steve.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
When it's easy to joke the Cowboys.
Something like that. So that's probably the one that stands out the most to me.
I'm trying to think if I remember that game. I think that I do a little bit. There's definitely been some Cowboy mishaps on Thanksgiving. Zeke Elliott jumping into the Salvation Army
right.
tub. That's been a Thanksgiving memory. I said it at the top of the show. Mine was in a room full of New Yorkers in Long Island, New York, at my dad, Uncle Myron's house. Lawrence Taylor with the screen pass interception for a touchdown of about 100 yards against Detroit, in which the New York room erupted. They were all Giant fans. So it was kind of cool to be around that, not expecting that was what's going to happen. Really, my first distinct memory. YouTube that play, Dave. It's pretty cool.
All right.
When you're bored at some point. Lawrence Taylor's 100-yard interception return versus Lions on Thanksgiving. All right. So Packers and the Lions. Speaking of 8.5, 47.5 now is the line. So that's actually up a point from yesterday. And well, the Lions, they come in after last week having to, basically come off a respirator. Maybe that's maybe not that bad, but they were down and out for the most part. You could have KO'd them literally. If there was a standing 8 count and they get up at 7 3/4 and the referee allows the fight to go on, that's kind of basically what happened here. Scoring 2 late scores. Just 4 minutes and change left. They were trailing by 2 scores, and somehow they come back to win that game. In fact, we had it off looking at other games, Dave, right? I think we had to kind of flip back to that.
Yeah, we did, yep.
Because they came back. So it's tough. I just think that they're just a better team. They're trending the right way. I get it. The Packers are trying to be better. They've turned it around a little bit. Del Grande's making a good case for the Packers with the points here. Why do I think Detroit just outscores the hell out of Green Bay? And they beat the snot out of them really last game, right? On that Thursday night game earlier in the year in Green Bay. They beat them last time in Lambeau. I feel like they just kind of have their number. And I get it. It's a big line. Yeah, actually up 8 to 8.5 today from 7.5 yesterday. It's a big line. I do like the Packers scoring today. I do. But why do I just think this is the Lions in the over here?
Well, the Packers defense has been playing a little bit better there, Steve. So maybe that's something to take into account, too, on this big number.
Yeah. When have you seen the Lions this big of a favorite ever? Right. Especially on Thanksgiving, day that they usually lose. So this it's just set up weird. It's like the bookies are putting these numbers out there for you really to take these favorites here, where the obvious play is the underdog. And the underdogs have been somewhat successful here on Thanksgiving over the years. I do like that 47.5 over, to be honest. So I'm going to focus the majority of whatever I do on some over stuff. I think the Lions get on the. So last week it was Gibbs. So I think it's Montgomery this week. So I'm going to lean on Montgomery myself. Del Grande loves him too. He's minus 155 for one. For 2 touchdowns, he's plus 340 now. So I like that number. That's actually gone up a little bit. You're getting a little bit better price. Other 2 touchdown scorers, Jahmyr Gibbs plus 460. St. Brown is plus 750. A.J. Dillon 9-1. Laporta 13-1. Dobbs 21-1. Christian Watson 22-1. So if you think that there's going to be some points, Jamison Williams 35-1. There's going to be some good opportunity. And if you think Pat, it can come through the air, I mean, why not do something even for like $2? You could do like a Jamison Williams for 2 touchdowns and Christian Watson for 2 touchdowns. $2 would pay $778 just for that. So I would play around with some over stuff. Maybe you get lucky, catch one of these longer shots. But if I'm going to have to do, and we do have a best play, David, of that they give you for free.
Okay.
So you can risk up to $100 today, and if you're going to use that for the weekend, you can get that back no matter what. So it's almost like a free roll. So if you're going to do that, which that would be nice, let's be honest, then I'm just going to take one play of easily David Montgomery for 1 touchdown, a minus 155. So I'll hop on board on that. But if you wanted to take some overs, some alternate overs, I would be fine with that too. Alternate over for this game is, let's see here. Alternate over. Actually, the alternate, if you think Detroit's going to blow them out, let me start there first. You get 3-1 to win by 3 touchdowns. If you think it's going to be a smoke job. If you think Green Bay can actually win this game, then you're going to get, say you think Green Bay can win by like a field goal. So let's say just minus 2.5 for them is plus 370. Green Bay to win by 2 scores is 12-1 odds, Dave. So that's a huge number. If you think the Packers they won 2 in a row here. I just think it's the more established team. They've kind of been there at this point. The Packers are trying to grow through love. And I mean, they have some of the same players. They're still young. All right. The core of that team is now on the Jets or the Raiders. Let's be honest. So those type of terms, they're still pretty young. And this Detroit team, I think, is just experienced. And they're going to have the better trenches. So one more thing, and I'm going to throw it to you. So David Montgomery, if he's my sure lock, and if you wanted to do something crazy, like you think it's going to be Green Bay and an over, Detroit and an over. So Detroit and over, this is figuring the Packers score their points too. So I would like a little bit better. So Montgomery, the Lions minus 19.5 and over 55.5 is just 12-1. But Montgomery on the sure thing for me, David. All right, what are you looking at?
Yeah, Steve. So I have Montgomery as well. You see last week that they give it a lot to Gibbs. And we talked about this, Steve. They do it kind of by committee there in Detroit with their running backs. And what you made a good point that, it kind of keeps them healthy, rotating. You use one guy heavy in one game, you use the next guy heavy in the other. And they're fortunate enough to be able to do that, Steve. So I think we see some Montgomery today. I also have a Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown today in one of my tickets. So we're going to go with that. If we're expecting points, Steve, we're going to go into the team props category. Detroit Lions, I think you can take their team touchdown total, which is 3.5. You're getting an even number from it. And also the Packers, if we're going to expect an over, can they help out and get us some of these points, maybe get us into the 50s
The Packers team total touchdowns at over 2.5 at plus 165, Steve, is probably something that I'm going to connect with in these couple cards that I'm going to be pushing out. But I like the over, Steve. I think we could even move that into the lower 50s. So give me Montgomery, give me St. Brown. And actually, Steve, just give me some touchdowns here on Thanksgiving Day.
Let's see. Anytime touchdown scores for this straight up. Montgomery minus 155, Gibbs minus 130, St. Brown plus 110, A.J. Dillon plus 135, Laporta plus 165, plus 230 for Dobbs. Watson, 240. Where has Christian Watson been? And he finally shows up at the end of last week. Probably should have had a touchdown, to be honest. He was out of bounds. I think they marked him at the half-yard line. Jaden Reed plus 260. Dave Del Grande's Jamison Williams plus 330. So Christian Watson, Jamison Williams, David Montgomery, and let's see here. Let's take one more Packer. Let's take Jaden Reed. Why not? He's been on fire. So that's not the worst. $10 wins you $945. Let's keep Williams in there. Let's take out Montgomery. And what we'll do is we'll throw in St. Brown. And now that pays $10 to win $1,375 for St. Brown, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Jamison Williams for a touchdown each. So that's not too bad. You might have to take a look at something like that. Let's see, 2 touchdowns. Let's get into those. And then I want to hit a few props. At any time, interrupt me if you see something, hear one of these plays that you really like, Dave. Christian Watson for 2, Jamison Williams for 2. We talk about that? $2 wins $828. If we want to go simpler and go St. Brown for 2, and who's the most likely Packer to score?
Probably Dobbs. I have him to score in one of my tickets as well. I forgot about that.
So St. Brown for 2 and Dobbs for 2. $5 pays $658. $10 pays $1,316. And what we'll do is look at the passing props real quick here, because I think if you're thinking and the Packers team points is 19.5, which I actually like, Dave.
Right.
I actually like the Packers to score. I just like the Lions to score a lot more, to be honest. I mean, this really could be kind of one of those track meet, like 42-21 games. I just think that it could be. Let's see here. Green Bay gets theirs, but Detroit definitely gets theirs. Let's see. Golf for 3+ passing touchdowns, 3-1. Jordan Love is a nice price for 3 touchdowns today, Dave, plus 520. So that's worth a shot too, to be honest, on something that you have. Because if he does have a good passing day and the Packers do get some touchdowns, then they could come through the air for sure. His passing yards, you got to remember we have garbage time as well. And Detroit's secondary has given up some points here too. You got to keep all this in mind. Jordan Love having some 300-yard passing games already, plus 520 for him is 300+ passing yards. So if you just wanted to do Jordan Love alone, 3 passing touchdowns, 300 yards passing, and went to 131. Still funner than you got to figure if you're going to have 3 passing touchdowns, you might have. You could have 3 passing yard touchdowns and pass for 220, to be honest. We've seen that. All right, Dave. For me, I think it's going to be Montgomery for the sure lock. So let me just put that in, and we'll see what kind of ticket we can come up with here at the end of the day. In fact, maybe do I want to go frisky and take him for 2? All right. The sure thing is this minus 155. So we'll throw that in there. Okay. Next game. All right, Dave, your Commanders playing on Thanksgiving, catching 13.5, 48.5. Let's go ahead and do your state of the union of your Commanders. Let's see. You sacked the quarterback, 6 times in the first quarter last week?
I think
5 times.
5 in the first quarter with 8 or 9 overall.
And the Commanders with 6 turnovers in the game, correct?
Yep.
All right. So what's the feeling of the team after that? Still not out of it in the playoff picture, to be honest. You just need to get hot. This is a tough task on the road. You're catching a lot of points now, 13.5 for a team that can backdoor you. The Commanders have plenty of games this year in which they backdoor their opponents down from behind to cover a spread. Anyway, David, the state of the union of your Washington Commanders as they sit right now.
Yeah, Steve. So there really isn't much of a state of the union here. Like you said, they're not out of it, but they need to get hot, Steve. But if you look at their schedule, which I did last night, this team, there's a real possibility that they don't win another game, Steve. And let me tell you why. I'm going to go right through their schedule, the rest of their schedule real quick. And, this could be a 4-win team come the end of the year. So let's pull this up, Steve, and you'll see why when I tell you. I think the Jets are their only probably winnable game in my eyes that's left on the schedule. So if we click on Washington here, we go with their next couple games. So, Steve, they have the Cowboys today. Then they have the Dolphins after that. Then they have the Rams. Then they have the Jets. Then they have the Niners. And then they finish it up at home against Dallas again.
The Niners could be sitting everyone by that point, maybe.
I don't think it'll matter because this team has given up 30 points in 4 straight games. The secondary is just absolutely non-existent. I think the Georgia Bulldogs could probably come in and cover a spread against this team. You know, Steven, I hate to be so negative about it, but it just at this point, it is what it is. Let's just call it for what it is. This team is not good. Ron Rivera is probably not going to have a job much longer, which I think we're all probably would be happy about. But Steve, this team is just not in a good place, and I would be quite surprised if they can pull it out today. So maybe we can find some props to play with them, but I don't think the feelings are very good right now. I'll go ahead and I'll still support them, but at this point, Steve, I just don't see much good coming to the rest of this.
How many points did the Commanders score today?
I think they get to 17. Maybe.
Okay. Interesting. The over-under for them is 17.5. So that would be under. Man. On the free play. See, I want to do something extravagant, but I'm just going to keep it simple here. So I think this is a lot like the last game we just talked about, David, to be honest. It's the same exact score, maybe.
It might be.
I mean, can we parlay 40? What does 42 to 17 pay for both of these games? Honestly.
Right.
Let's see here.
I mean, look at this, Steve. You have the Cowboys team total touchdowns of over 3.5 at minus 145. If that tells you anything.
They're going to score a lot. Their team total is 30.5 points right now. I'm interested to do this correct score, but this is going to be a lot to try to parlay real quick. 30.5, I believe. It might have been up to 31.5. Let me see if I can find 42-17 real quick. Why would they not have 42-17, but they have 42-16? Why would that be the case, David?
Yeah, I don't much understand that. I'm looking for the correct scores on mine. I can't quite find it.
42-13. 42-14. That's a good common score. How about that? We'll do that. 42-14, 310 to 1 odds for the Cowboys. So this is just kind of fun here. But what's that for the other game? Only because I kind of see that's how it's going to go.
Now, this might could be a game for the touchdown and field goal in each half for each team.
Yeah, what's that paying? Actually, David, it is.
That's
and for the touchdown each half.
18 to 1 for that.
So a touchdown and field goal in each half for
each team.
In the Green Bay Detroit game?
That one's in the Skins game, but let me go ahead and
the Green Bay Detroit game. See what you get real quick.
Let me do that real quick.
For your home run, for your thing. And I might have to give you $5 to throw that in.
You know, I haven't played it much the last couple weeks, but I might do that here. Can the Skins get me 10 points before halftime? God, I sure hope so, but I have a hard time even trusting that with them the way they're going.
Oh, okay. So I have 42-17 available on the Lions-Packers. There's no 42-16 on this one. And there's no 42-13 or 14-14. Why would there not be a 42-14? But there's a 41-23. Anyway, Cowboys, Commanders 42-14. Lions 42, Packers 17. Damn 2-point conversions. $5 will pay you $716,850 if those two scores hit. Interesting.
Very.
So I'm going to just kind of say that the Packers have a chance to get their points for sure. I think Love can have a decent time passing. I'm just worried maybe they turn it over in the red zone, stuff like that. The Lions, man, I feel like the fans are going to have that place charged today. That's a rivalry game. Again, could be a complete bloodbath for the bookies. Packers been playing tight lately. So your alternate line numbers, if you want to do this, and the Packers are plus 320 to win outright right now. If you want Green Bay, again, to win by 10, we said what? They were 10 to 1. And the Lions are 3 to 1 to win by 19.5. Yeah, I keep going back to that. All right, back to your game, Dave.
All right, Steve. So I've got that parlayed. $10 for $3,600 for that little 2-leg.
I might have to fire that in myself here.
In some games that we're expecting some points. Really, you're just asking the Packers and Washington here for a touchdown and a field goal before halftime. I feel better about that in the second half. Can they do it in the first half, Steve, is the one thing that worries me. But I tell you what, I may go ahead and just fire this right now while I've got it in my slip, Steve, because that's pretty good there.
All right, I'm going to review an alt line ticket when we finish up. I want to stick with the sure thing. So I'll go ahead and I'll let Del Grande talk me into this. And I know because Anthony loves him too. But go ahead and give me Pollard for a touchdown. I want to take CD Lamb because he's been the hot hand for sure. So Montgomery and Pollard just plus 142 for one touchdown on the Sherlock. Remember, this is the free 100, and they'll give you credit back. So, pick something you can try to win at. What I'll probably do too is I'll popcorn these guys up to juice up their numbers with 2 touchdowns each, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll save a third leg for that. In fact, we need to pick 2 of the same game, right? Interesting. Okay. So we need to pick 2 of the same game and then 1 of another game. I guess I'm going to pick it out of this one. Oh, man.
Steve, I just fired that little 2-leg in if you want to go El Cheapo style. $2.50 for $902.50 payout.
What's that?
Each team for the touchdown and field goal.
So how? All right, repeat that again.
So the little game prop there, each team for a touchdown and a field goal in each half between the Packers, Lions, Skins, and Cowboys today. I went El Cheapo on that. $2.50 for $902.
Wow. Okay. All right. Nice. All right. Good deal. That's a big payout. You might as well throw $2 on that for sure. All day
You
long.
go 5 or maybe even 10 and really push the envelope.
All right. I'm trying to get this $100 guy to hit. So sorry, I'm kind of slacking at this because I'm just trying to make this guy win. But so give me Pollard. And in the first game, now, you know what? I want to get the credits back fast. So I got to pick 2 things in the first game. Give me Montgomery for a touchdown. And you know what? Just give me I want to take the over. This is tough, David. All right, I'll come back to all this. Anything else with the Cowboys and Commanders, Dave, today? Let's see. 2 touchdowns for these guys.
I do like Brian Robinson to get in today. He's always kind of a safety net for Washington. I do feel like, his effort is always there along with Scary. But Terry has not been getting into the end zone lately. Robinson has. And so I just feel a little bit better about that. Plus 125 for him. He'll be going into my touchdown scoring ticket.
Brian Robinson, 13-1 for 2 touchdowns. CD Lamb is 7-1. Pollard plus 250. Ferguson, 13-1. Rico Dowdle plus 1,500. Dak, 17-1. He never gets it. Where's Brandon Cook? See, Lauren's down there with Brandon Cooks. 21-1 for McLaurin. 32-1 for Curtis Samuel. 43-1 for Logan Thomas. Jahan Dotson, 30-1 for 2 touchdowns. Man, I mean, Del Grande thinks the back door is wide open for Hal to have a big day, Dave. You think it's complete red light here for your boys? They can't get nothing going at all?
Steve, I mean, they might be able to get something going, but just the way that, look at the last game. That was just a major disappointment. And how can you do anything if you can't stop anybody?
And they were stuck in the mud in Seattle until the second half, too.
Yeah, and they usually are. They usually don't come out, firing on all cylinders. By the time they get going, they're already chasing the game. So you could throw some props in, but you got to remember that Dallas defense is pretty good. So does Washington have the potential to struggle again today against a much, much better opponent than the New York Giants? Steve, it doesn't add up to success for me today.
Dallas is minus 290 to win the first half and to win the game. Let's see here. That is minus 290 plus 250. That doesn't really juice it up. But Tony Pollard, the Cowboys first half winner, the Cowboys regulation winner, parlayed to Montgomery for 2 touchdowns. And let's see, the Lions first half winner, regulation winner. Let's see what we get here. 18-1. Is that the free bet, David?
Could be. Read that back.
Dallas first half regulation, or Dallas to win the first half and the game.
Right.
Detroit to win the first half of the game. Montgomery for 2, Pollard for 2.
Interesting. I would switch out Pollard, I feel like, for CD. I think he is going to have a huge day.
That's the feeling that I almost get. If you do it that way.
Now that I say switch that around, Pollard will have the big day, but I just really feel
he could.
CD Lamb is on
the thing
fire.
that Cowboys can strike from anywhere.
Exactly.
Now, Pollard can too. So that puts CD Lamb into play a little bit more. Now you're cooking, Dave. You got 40 plus 4,200, 42.45. So the free $100 pays $4,200 245.
That's not the worst thing ever, Steve. If it were me, that would probably be how I would do it.
So Montgomery for 2, and what Detroit should have a lot of scoring. CD for 2, and where Dallas should have a lot of scoring, and they should be able to beat both of their opponents. Wow. Interesting. All right. I kind of like it, David.
Right.
I kind of like it. That might be the one. Okay. So the other one I want, you know what? Let me take a picture of this because this is going to be on something. Your Commanders plus 540 to win this game outright now. So straight up plus 540. If you want to do the bookie slaughter machine play, which means you're going to take all the alt lines here of these good teams. Only because I feel like it's kind of due to happen that way. Cowboys plus 190 to win by 3 scores. We'll take the Lions to win by 3 scores. At plus 300. I just think both. I wish you could take alternate teams totals, David, because I would bet both of these guys in their 40s, to be honest.
Right.
You're right that Green Bay has had a little bit better defense, but this is 10-1, Dave. Both of these teams to win by 20 points is 10-1 odds.
I can see it, Steve. I can see it.
Okay. Let's go to the night game. -7 for the 49ers. Seahawks are catching 7 there at Lumen Field. The over-under is 43.5 in this game. Again, why do I think this is like 29-6? Why do I think that the 49ers could roll here? Dave Del Grande thinks it's somewhat of a closer game, competitive, kind of a playoff type of atmosphere game. Niners with a nice win at home last week against Tampa. I feel like Tampa and Seattle are kind of almost the same team in a weird way. Just kind of like a team that can play decently, but can really be bad at times too. Geno is just a statue back there. I've said that a million times on the show. I don't think that bodes well for him against Chase Young or Bosa tonight, to be honest. I think like both of those guys might have a sack. I think if you want to do something with Montgomery for 2 touchdowns, McCaffrey, I think you could definitely do that. If you want to take the Niners on an alt line, again, on the bookie slaughter parlay would be this. So all 3 teams to win by 20 points or more is, 100 pays $5,120. Could you see that, Dave? Could you see all 3 of these teams winning by 20 or more?
In a crazy way, yeah.
You could even could you see Miami winning over the Jets by 20 or more?
I could probably see that. Jets defense is decent, but the thing that makes that happen for me is the Jets offense it can't do anything at all.
Round robin style, if you're to put $5 on each leg so far, but we'll add Miami to that. But your $25 would win $410 right now, and you would get 66 back if 2 of the 3 hit. All right, so we'll move forward with that. Dave, what are your thoughts here? I can see a lot of under. I could see Geno under 30 is now 234.5 down from 236.5 his passing yards. So I like Geno under. That's the one thing that's kind of stuck out to me from the get-go on all the props. I would look at some Seattle under things, but in particular Geno, and he's banged up too. So you could see a scenario where he leaves the game. So you have that kind of going in your corner as well. Obviously you're not like, I hope this guy gets hurt so I'll win my bet. But he's kind of dinged up, and the 49ers are the right team to hurt your quarterback for sure. So Geno under for me as well. What are you looking at, Dave?
Steve, so the big thing I'm looking at for whatever reason, looking for a Kittle touchdown today at plus 150. I'm also considering moving this spread in favor for the Niners. I think they could win this game by 10 or maybe even 2 touchdowns. So that's something that I'm going to play with there. I feel like the 49ers are the more, rounded team. They're the better team for sure. And one of the better teams in the NFC. So, it could be a, 20-8. The Seahawks get a 2-point conversion somewhere in there.
Right.
And I think it comes in under as well of the 43.5. Let's maybe, Steve, on some kind of sneaky play, move that into the upper 30s. I think San Francisco will blanket Seattle. I don't see much happening for them today. So, Steve, give me the spread. I'll take the Niners with the points, and I'm going to take a Kittle touchdown today, too.
I do like the 29-6 in my random score of the day category, which they'll never give it to me on here. Let's be honest. They don't even have a 49ers 428. So we'll go 30-6. How about that? 260-1 odds for that, Dave. That would be your under for today. I just don't think Seattle can do much. So at some point, I'm going to fade them on their unders too, and some weird stuff. The Geno under really sticks out to me.
Right.
If there's another one, I'm afraid just to take any receiver under. I feel like they're just too low. I mean, even DK and Lockett can get their overs. Jackson Smith and Jigba could get his over, and Geno could still go under his yards, if that makes sense. So I'll lay off the receiver props there. I do like your Kittles to show up today. I can see him with a touchdown for sure. I do like that angle. Del Grande loves Deebo Samuel. He's now up to 46.5. So we're moving lines on this show, Dave. How about that? Talking about that, moving up earlier. But how, Brandon Ayuk, 64.5. How do you not take Ayuk? He's like CD Lamb. He's the one who has been there. I feel like every week for the most part. McCaffrey, I mean, how do you avoid him for a couple of scores? Purdy on his passing props as well. He's been a 3-touchdown machine. So today for that, for 3+ touchdowns for Purdy is plus 310. Okay, I could see, let's see here. Let's do this one too, because this would be interesting. So Purdy for 3 touchdowns passing. Dak for 3 touchdowns passing. Plus 230. Dak plus 750 for 4 touchdowns passing. Would you roll that out, Dave?
The Dak prop?
For 4 touchdown passes?
Oh, no, give it to him.
All right, and golf. We'll plug that number in a minute. Let's see. Golf for 2 touchdowns passing is minus 140. Wow. What's love? Plus 124. You could do all those guys. So this isn't the worst one either, Dave. Golf for 2 touchdowns passing. Jordan Love for 2 touchdowns passing. Prescott for 3 touchdowns passing. Purdy for 3 touchdowns passing is plus 310. Dak, if you want to take him out, this is actually kind of a fun bet here, to be honest. Does golf have 3 touchdowns passing? Let me ask you that.
I definitely feel really good about 2. He can have 3, certainly, but there's going to be some rushing touchdowns sprinkled in there. That's what worries me there.
All right, so Dak for 4. $10 pays $1,122. So Dak for 4, Love for 2, Golf for 2, Purdy for 3.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And 100 is $11,227. So wow, interesting.
Not mad at that at all.
I would hate to get to that night game and have to make that decision not to cash out on Purdy. and stay in, to be honest. So if you wanted to do Dak for 4, Love for 2, Golf for 2, 100 pays 2,662.
I like that.
Man, I might have to put like $5 on that anyway.
Why not?
On
Why
the first
wouldn't?
one that
Why
I talked
wouldn't
about.
you?
With the Purdy as well. All right, so there's a lot of fun things that you guys can do out there with all this today. All right, Dave, what else do you have on this game? 49ers and the Seahawks.
Steve, that's pretty well for now. I say that for now, that's pretty much it. Focusing in on Kittle, and I really think I'm going to take a shot at lowering that under. I did that once or twice this year, and it kind of bit me. But I just think the Niners defense can kind of help that cause tonight, Steve. So I'm gonna take a shot there at an alternate under, and I'm gonna try and move that somewhere into the maybe even the low 30s to try and push it.
I could see the Niners defense at plus 410 get a touchdown, to be honest. I'd like a little bit better price. 2 touchdowns for the Niners defense is 39-1.
Right.
If they have a real bloodbath against these guys. There's going to be some sort of a long shot play in here too, David, today. So maybe we'll give me long shot Niners defense at 39-1 for 2. Your boy's Kittles is 14-1. I don't think that's the worst thing either. So the way that you can do this too is you can take 2 touchdown scores for everything today, take a couple of the long shots, and you round robin those, because they won't let you round robin the 5 and 4 legs and stuff, but they'll give you a bunch of 3 legs in which you can just hit some random long shots here. So if we do 2 touchdowns, and we'll throw on the San Fran defense, we'll throw on George Kittles, we'll throw on CeeDee Lamb. How about McLaurin just for 21-1 for fun, Dave?
Yeah, why not?
All right, so McLaurin 21-1. We'll go back to Detroit and Green Bay. 2 touchdown scores. So give us those long shots. Give us those long shots of like Jameson Williams at 34-1 and Dobbs at 21-1. Let's say that. Now, if you round robin that, you now have 8 different 3-game parlays you can use. And let's just do 25 cents. This is going to be awesome. Okay, so 25 cents on each leg, Dave. That's a total of $2. So that's if you hit any combination of these 3. Odds, you have to hit one of each game is the trick. So either Jameson Williams or Dobbs for 2. Either McLaurin or CeeDee Lamb for 2. Either Kittles or the San Fran defense for 2. All right. And now 25 cents, you will get an average payout of almost $1,000 each. If that one of those combination of the 3 hit. And the 4-game parlay, see, the calculators are acting weird on these books. So far, let's see, 25 cents. I don't even think they'll let you bet it. Oh, too rich for their blood. So you can't even bet 10 cents because it'll be over $1 million. So you got to do it round robin style. You could do it with the 2-game parlays. So let's look at that. Again, this is all just 25-cent bets. So a total of $6, David. And if you hit, actually, let's put $1 in each one for the 2s. Because now you're really cooking. You only have to hit 2 of these 6 to get 2. All right. You'll get off $1 and $14 total bet. On any 2-game parlay, you'll average out $250 off $1. And if you get 3, if you're lucky enough to get 3, you'll get another 1,000. If you sweep the board, you'll get nothing because you bet too much. So maybe let's dumb this down a little bit. And when we'll get to this Dolphins game, we'll get you out of here. But I'm trying to give you some good, fun stuff for today. Let's get rid of the San Fran defense for 2. let's get a little smarter and a little cheaper here. And we're going to conduct that we actually get a big payout on something that hits here. So we'll keep Kittles. We'll get rid of the San Fran defense, and we'll add Ed McCaffrey. How about that? Christian McCaffrey. Ed McCaffrey, of course, his father. In the Commanders-Cowboys game, let's get rid of McLaurin and put in Pollard. A little bit more conservative here. And you still like Dobbs for 2 for 81 for Green Bay, Dave? Best shot for him?
Yeah, he just gets the majority of the targets, and he's been scoring.
So we'll take out Jamison Williams and throw in St. Brown because that's going to be a good number here. All right, now we're cooking with gas here. And let's make our bet a little bit more money. We're just going to do the 3s because this is more of an obvious. One of these guys are bound to get 2 touchdowns, if not more. So if we do, okay, $3, you'll win you about $1,000, $24 bet. All right. So any of these guys score 2 touchdowns today, we'll get you $1,000. Either Kittles or McCaffrey, either Lamb or Pollard, either Dobbs or St. Brown. So could you get on board with that, David?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
you'll need to send me a picture of that.
I will. And if you take all of them together to get to $3 wins $887,160. Interesting.
That's worth a couple bucks.
All right, but I like the round robin style where we definitely have the choice. All right, so that would be, again, for 2. I'll take a picture of this. Kittles or McCaffrey for 2. CeeDee Lamb or Pollard for 2. St. Brown or Romeo Dobbs for 2. And Dobbs is the one who's going to pay it out the biggest, and Kittle. So if you get those 2 guys in there, then they're going to really spruce it up. And the less it will pay if you have, let's say, Pollard, McCaffrey, and St. Brown. So that'll be your least amount of a payout. You'll probably get more like $300, $400, to be honest. You won't get quite the 1,000. All right, so keep all that in mind as we go through the weekend and into the future. If you're just tuning into the show, that's kind of how we look at some weird numbers here, see how they stack up, risk the minimum to invest the maximum. All right, so that's your Thanksgiving slate. Let's get to tomorrow's game, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You'll have to look for this on Prime, I believe. Right, David?
I think so, yeah.
It is the Dolphins minus 9.5, over under 41. Dave, I'll let you go on this one. What do you see here?
Steve, I like Miami. I think it's props heavy for them. Once again, that's just kind of, seemed to be their style. I think we talked about it. I feel like they're, big play or bust. So when they are losing, they're not getting the big plays down the field. They're not having the explosive plays. But when they are, it's, damn near impossible to keep up with them, Steve. So let's see here. The over-under is interesting at 41 over here for me. I feel like that's achievable, but can the Jets help that cause? That I'm not quite sure of, and I wouldn't want to trust Steve. So it's the usual suspects. It really is. I mean, you got Mostert, Hill, and Hall. They round up the top 3 to score. You got Mostert at 130, Hill at minus 130, and Breece Hall at plus 125. So it really it's the usual suspects here, Steve. Yeah, give me the Dolphins and give me the props.
I have no idea how Boyle is going to come out. So that's a complete wild card, right? We just don't know.
Right.
And let me add this one more trick here. I'm trying to find all 4 of these games into this one nice bookie slayer play again. Yeah, Dave, Del Grande thinks that the Dolphins could be slowed up here a little bit by the Jets D. Yeah, I could see that too. But it's not like they really slow down Buffalo either, right? Now, Buffalo, I feel like they're 2 peas in a pod almost in a way. I mean, I really do. They both have explosive nature. So the Dolphins can catch fire as well. They just can't be happy after last week.
No.
I mean, they really, really can't. Wow, this is paying big time now. So check this, Dave. All of these teams. Oh, I had the wrong one for the Cowboys. I just think they're motivated. I'm not sure if the Jets haven't. I can't say they've lost the locker room, but man, they're apologizing to the fans. Are they going to even be able to move the ball? How does Miami not score? I mean, this really could be like 28-0 at halftime.
Right.
And they just put the throttle down, and then, they keep it on a little bit in the second half. So that being said, this could be a bloodbath for the books, man. I'm just saying it now. Could all these teams come in and upset? Yeah. And I'm a dog guy, but I'm just going to use my brain of what I've seen on the NFL so far. Okay. This is a big payout, Dave. This is if you just want to take all the chalk here on these big numbers and you juice up their spread. Miami with a beatdown, San Fran with a beatdown, Detroit with a beatdown, and Dallas with a beatdown. And that is all these teams to win by 20 points or more. $5 wins the 1,050.
Nice.
You put that in the $100 perspective, that's $20,780 for teams that have been going somewhat in the wrong direction. Seattle is just, Seattle's a good team, decent team. They're middle of the pack. So, I see how that's more difficult for the Niners. But they have had their number, and they waxed them in the playoff game last year, right? So you got to say that could be a possibility. I don't know, man. That's a good payout. $10 literally wins you 2,078. So that's kind of worth it. I'm going to have to throw something on there like that. Let's see, $7.50 wins $1,558. That may be more like the golden ticket right there, Dave.
Right.
All right, so Miami, I'm going to lean with you, man. I think that they can have a good day and all the props there. So 2 touchdowns for these guys.
See, I think you got to give it. I've been on the Mostert for 2, but I think Hill could do it, and I'm sure Waddle's probably got a pretty good number. But I would trust Hill more so to have a good day.
Now they're going to give him old Sauce Gardner, but he's been beaten too. It's not
right?
Like
yeah, and I thought that would be the case. And he is a good corner, but I mean, it's Tyreek Hill. The guy is just so fast. It's,
Yeah, you could see it on TV last week. I even said that. I'm like, man, usually you can't tell how fast the guy is. Like, you can actually tell with Tyreek. Jalen Waddle, 13-1.
And I don't think there's any 2 touchdown options over on the Jets, so it has to be all Dolphins. And they
Breece Hall maybe, and Breece Hall maybe if the Jets have any kind of success.
Right. But they like to spread it around there in Miami too, so it's tough to kind of pinpoint a 2 touchdown score, which is why I would go with Hill. It just makes the most sense, I feel like.
Devin Achane is plus 750. Not a lot of 2 touchdown scores listed right now in this game, which is interesting. Maybe that's telling you something. Let's see. Barrios 7-1. I'm just looking for some long shot. Robbie Chosen 10-1 for 1. CJ Azuma 13-1. Tyler Croft 14-1. Yeah, I mean, what do you think the total amount of points are for the Jets, Dave? Let me ask you that.
I think it's 10 to 14.
15.5 is their over-under. So under 15.5.
Yep.
So you could take under 15.5 in the Jets, under 17.5 in your Commanders. Would you take? Is that what you would lean with?
Yep.
And you could take. Can you take all these guys? Let me see that. They might not let you parlay these together. Maybe they do. Yeah, they do. All right. So Dolphins over 25, Jets under 15.5. Dolphins over 25.5. Let's go back to some other games. I'm overheating the computer on these games at this point, clicking all this madness. Okay, so we'll say Cowboys over their team points, right?
Yep. They could score 40 today.
They're a 30.5. Commanders under their team points, 16.5. Now 16.5. Wow, they've dropped. All right, so that's scary. We'll have to take that off since you said 17, right?
Right.
It kind of makes me want to take the over. You want to just take a shot with the over?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do that. And then on the Lions, their team points are again, so it'll pop up 28.5. So over there. And the Packers are 19.5. Take the over there just for fun?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Do we want to do the Seattle game? I think we do. Let's see. Seattle. Total points, 17.5. So I'll go under on that. And the 49ers are 25.5. Over on that?
Yes.
Okay. So an 8-leg parlay. Jets under 15.5. Dolphins over 25.5. Lions over 28.5. Packers over 19.5. Cowboys over 30.5. Commanders over 16.5. Seahawks under 17.5. Niners over 25.5. $10 would be $1,230. Can you get on board with that?
I think I could. All
right, so let me take a picture of that one because that's kind of a fun one too here. You can check the boxes as you go here on Thanksgiving. Interesting. All right, Dave. I don't know what else I got, man.
Yeah, I think we've definitely found some fun Thanksgiving angles. I know I did for sure. I didn't know quite what I was going to do coming into it. But, as we do, we deep dive and we find them. And, Steve, I think we have definitely found some interesting stuff today.
All right. I think we're going to get the Ant-Man's best picks here in a second, to be honest. All right. He's going to pop up here in a second. I think so. Looking ahead to games on Sunday, real quick here. And we will be back live Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll actually have, Ant-Man will call in a second. We'll pick his brain for a few minutes, Dave. We will actually be on 8 o'clock. We'll do Dave Del Grande again. We'll do me, Nephew Dave. You'll be back again, right?
Right.
All right, so 1 o'clock, Patriots, Giants. The Pats a favorite on the road. And kind of a weird, not quite a system play, Dave, but it's not far from the qualifying for that anyway. Over under 34 in that game. Pittsburgh 1.5 on the road at Cincinnati, 35.5. Carolina catching 3.5 at Tennessee, 37. Jacksonville at Houston -1.5, 47.5 is the line there. The Falcons, a lot of 1.5 spreads. Falcons -1.5 at home against the Saints, 42.5. Buccaneers catching 2.5 on the road at the Colts, 43.5. The Rams minus 1.5 at the Cardinals, 44.5. The Broncos minus 1.5, 36.5. The Chiefs minus 8.5 at the Raiders, 43. Good game. Eagles minus 3, 48.5 at home against the Bills. The Ravens minus 3.5 at the Chargers, 47.5. And Monday night, Vikings minus 3.5, 43.5. Anything on any of those you're looking at right now, Dave, at all?
You know what, Steve? Not, to be honest with you, not quite yet.
Those are some hard games, right?
Yeah, yes, they are.
My initial thoughts are this, that Houston and Jacksonville look like they could be an over-under.
That should be a good game, I think, Steve.
For an over 47.5 there. The other thing I would look at, I'm almost tempted to take Carolina plus 3.5 at Tennessee, to be honest. Tennessee has not looked good at all.
No,
not that Carolina has. That game could be an under 37. I could see that. Can the Steelers rebound after Canada, the firing there?
I think they could, just for the fact that Burrow's out for the year.
I'm going to go with this game since I called none of these teams right all year, so I'll stick right with it again. Give me the Cardinals at home against the Rams. How about that for an upset?
Yeah.
Puka's kind of banged up. No Cooper Kupp again. Cardinals playing frisky, I will say, here lately. So maybe the Cardinals as a home team dog there against the Rams might be looking okay. Cleveland and Denver is interesting to me. That's a weird one, man. There's some weird stuff we're really gonna have to evaluate our lives over here.
Yeah, deep dive.
You know what? Don't be shocked if the Raiders keep it close against the Chiefs. I had the Raiders last week. I said it on the show. Don't be surprised if they keep it close against the Dolphins, and they did. They did that, so they could do that again against a struggling Chiefs team. I think we have the Ant-Man on the line. Is that correct?
Good morning.
Ant-Man, what's up? Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
Oh, happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, believe it or not, late mornings, but not for the reasons you think. The girlfriend's flight was delayed majorly. She almost missed both of her flights, but in the nick of time, she was able to land safely. It just kind of happened at like 2 a.m.
Nice. So you're a good boyfriend, of course, and made sure that she got home from the airport safely, et cetera, right?
Yeah, did that, brought her home, and of course, like any boyfriend, got yelled at for not cleaning properly. Even though I thought I cleaned properly,
that will happen.
We know what happened.
Was the great Babylini completely excited to see her?
You know, the greatest part about her walking in the door was the fact that I don't have to worry about him anymore. It's over. It's over. And the second best part is we were laying in bed for at least a few minutes at like 4 something in the morning. I walked to the fridge. The dog followed me. I looked at him. I said, "No, go back. No, you're done. I'm done with you. It's over with." Anywho, that's happening. I was actually awake for a little bit. Oh, damn! I am so sorry I missed this.
Not an issue at all. What we've been able to do to the audience's probably dismay is watch me crunch.
Damn it!
All kinds of crazy different numbers together in different parlays. Here's one I have on my screen. Let me run this by you, and then I want to get your quick hit, your best fantasy prop, whatever for every game. Give me your 2 cents, injuries, whatever you got. But I'm going to look at this. I'm going to take, in no specific order, starting with tomorrow. Jets under 15.5 points. Dolphins over 25.5 points. Cowboys over 30.5 points. Commanders over 16.5 points. Lions over 28.5 points. Packers over 19.5 points. Seahawks under 17.5 points. 49ers over 25.5 points. And all that together pays a whopping $10 to win $1,230. Your thoughts?
Detroit, Green Bay.
Both of those teams over. Really, the only unders would be the Jets and the Seahawks, and everyone else over for their point total.
You know, it's funny. Watch the Jets be the one that screws you.
Right.
Because of Tim Boyle or Trevor Siemian or whoever the guy is. Watch the Jets be the one that screws you. I do like everything you said. What was you said Seattle's under. I'm really concerned about the Seattle San Fran game.
In which way? That Seattle might have something for them?
No, that there just might not be much at all.
No, I don't think so. I think Geno Smith, which I said on the show, under 234.5 passing yards is maybe the best bet of the day, to be honest.
Yeah, because he is banged up.
And he is banged up too. Yeah. So I like that a lot. And I had that thrown in. So these are just stupid stuff I was doing as I went along. Trust me, there's all kinds of round robin, 2 touchdown scores of each games we could go through. I don't know. Let me get your best thoughts here. Let's go from the top. Packers and Lions. We love Montgomery because we saw how much Gibbs ran last week. That's been the general consensus amongst me, Nephew Dave, and Dave Del Grande. Where do you hop on today on the Lions train? And Jordan Love has been a sneaky good passer the last few weeks. So Packers a chance to have some points against the Lions secondary. What are your 2 thoughts there?
Pretty sure the last time the Lions played Green Bay, David Montgomery ran for 3
touchdowns. Yes. Yep. As discussed earlier.
All right.
Yep.
So you guys covered that?
Yep.
But that was also kind of before Jamar Gibbs. However, I wouldn't be surprised if he scored again.
Yeah, I like him for 1. I like him for 1. And in my free $100 play, I think my sure thing for this is Montgomery for 1.
So, and it's crazy with Detroit. There's kind of a lot of sure things. You got Montgomery to get 1. Amon-Ra to score again too, because they're both just scoring machines. They're both automatic. Of course, Gibbs can get it. Laporta can get it. I'm kind of trying, since it's Thanksgiving, I'm trying to, switch it up a little bit. Have you talked about Josh Reynolds at all?
Briefly a little bit with Del Grande. He's 6-1 for a touchdown today. Which is, that's a nice price. I mentioned Jameson Williams plus 330. He scored last week. But Reynolds at plus 600. Yeah, if you like that, that's a nice price right there.
And I'm not doing any yardage or anything like that. Obviously, I have Laporta Plotty on my team. I have, we all love Jameson Williams. He could be an interesting play. What I'm more interested in is when I was pretty much circling around the airport for about 2.5 hours waiting for Megan to get home from her flight. One of the parlays me and my brother cooked up last night was, give me a parlay of players that you have no idea who they are and they're going to score. And Josh Reynolds is one of them.
I got one the next game. This will be back to Nephew Dave. This will be good insight for him in a minute. What else on this? Is this a big day for Jordan Love?
I think so. I mean, they're already they're -7.
Jordan Love for 300 plus passing yards today is at plus 530.
If we remember, it's Thanksgiving.
It is garbage time as well.
It's in the Dome. And the thing is Jordan Love really hasn't looked bad. He hasn't looked really good, but he actually hasn't looked bad. I know he's what's the injury report with Green Bay receivers? I know Aaron Jones is out. I believe Reed's playing, right?
Yeah, he's listed. Yep.
All right. What if this game really is a shootout and all of these guys show up to play? I don't mind the 300 yards.
How about this? If you mention it just like that, and you want to get a little random here, you could go. This is a big payout. Jaden Reed for 1, Jamison Williams for 1, Josh Reynolds for 1, and Jordan Love for 300 yards passing. 5 pays 1,563.
Interesting.
And you can take Jamison Williams out there and throw a St. Brown in there. And 5 pays 808 if you want to do it that way. If you want maybe more of a short lock than Jamison. Because you're right. You feel like the Coach Campbell there, this a Dave Del Grande joke, has St. Brown on his fantasy team. Much like McCarthy has CD Lamb on his. Must get him the ball late in the game. All right, so you're good on Green Bay. You think Green Bay can get to 20 points today?
I actually do. I hope it doesn't backfire because I have a lot of fantasy. I have a lot of fantasy on this one. So this is kind of a big day for me.
Okay.
Let's put it this way, and it sucks because I'm a biased Packer fan, and I'm wearing my Packers shirt. I'm a biased Packers fan. I hope they do.
All right, so big game for you, Anthony, 12:30 noon there. Commanders and Cowboys, what's your best play there?
Everyone from Dallas.
So we listed in our crazy round robin, and it's either or, CD Lamb or Pollard to have 2 touchdowns. You'd be on board with that all day, correct?
The only thing that aggravates me about Pollard is last week against Carolina was supposed to be the game where he went off.
It'll be this
week. It's going to be this week, Dave, you think?
Oh, yeah. And Lamb. Yeah. Lamb for 2, I feel like is just is certain.
Here's let me ask you this. Long shot touchdown score. What about John Bates for the Commanders? Dave?
What's the number on that?
Plus 1,000.
Yeah, that's probably for good reason. I mean, hey, it's Thanksgiving, Steve. Anything could happen. If they're going to even try to be in this game, it's going to be all hands on deck. So I throw it in there if you want to.
Let's see. All right.
John Bates, 2 catches on 2 targets for 15 yards against the Giants. Who the F is this dude?
Dave Del Grande's long shot touchdown scorer. And we saw Schoonmaker score last week. So there you go with him.
You just hope that's going to be a red zone type deal right there.
That's if the Redskins actually get into the red zone.
Let's see here. Anthony, do the Redskins score 16.5 points or more?
That's gonna be close.
I gave him 17.
Dave, what did you say?
Because we already talked about it. Dave said 17 was the number, and it was a 17.5, and it dropped to 16.5 on the air.
I think 17 is right about where they get to.
So actually 17, correct score today, huh? Correct score with the Redskins at 17. Just a matter of what I would take Dallas at.
40-17.
Right? Or something weird, or they get a safety. It's like 38-17.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear you there. I guess I'm hopeful because, like I said, I have fantasy players in everything today. Can Scary Terry score?
You know, we've been calling for it for the last couple of weeks, and it hasn't happened. So it's going to be somebody else, I'm sure.
More than likely, one of the guys that we already bet was Dotson, and he's been obviously hit or miss all year. But I'm going to go with him again as a random receiver for Washington.
Dotson plus 340. Okay, so how about this one? This is one we've cooked up here. Jordan Love for 300 plus yards passing. Jaden Reed for a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown for a touchdown. Pollard for a touchdown. CD Lamb for a touchdown. Jahan Dotson for a touchdown. 10 pays 3,116.
I feel like they should pay us a lot more for that one.
That's taking off your plus 600 guy that we had on there. Okay, so you like all Dallas side here, Anthony. I could see that as well. The back door is open for Washington. And it is – how about this, Anthony? All these teams to win. Do you think Green Bay keeps it close? Let me ask you that. Or do you think they just score and get blown out?
I actually think they keep it close.
Okay. There is a prop where all these teams win by 20, which pays a buttload, to be honest. It pays 120 to 1. So let's see. Let's see here. And on the bookie slaughter nightmare day is what it would be on Thanksgiving. The Cowboys line is up. So you like all Cowboy stuff. Okay, how about 49ers Seahawks? Fading the Seahawks, right? You said it could be a boring game because of Seattle. Does San Francisco get theirs?
You're pretty much in a roulette of which 49er you're going to play. You're going to play CMC, you're going to play Kittle, you're going to play Ayuk, you're going to play Debo.
Right. So which one are you playing?
Ayuk's my favorite of all of them. I mean, well, not favorite. We know McCaffrey's going to score his. Kittle's kind of a wild card because we know he can go off at any given moment. And Debo can always get that end around rush for 50 yards and score. I just like Ayuk. I'm keeping a nice benchmark with Ayuk, 70 yards and a score.
What? Okay. Are you going to do your yardage receivers for scores today in a touchdown? Like, are you going to use Ayuk? Are you going to do like Ayuk and someone else?
You know what? I actually haven't even cooked this up. Like I said,
honestly, you could round Robin McLaurin. You could round Robin CD Lamb. You could round Robin St. Brown. You could probably boost all their alternate yards too if you wanted to. And someone like Dobbs, right? Dobbs has had a nice. What does he have? 5 touchdown catches. I think he's 1 away from my 6. Dobbs is going to be my first receiver on my touchdown parlay to get to 6. To be honest.
You know what? Hold on. Let me actually get my other phone. And might as well roll this out now because we're going to go grocery shopping in a little bit, and by that time, I'm going to forget about it.
Okay, here's a good one. Jordan Love for 300 yards passing. Jaden Reed touchdown. St. Brown touchdown. Ayuk and McCaffrey. Pollard and Lamb. 10 pays 3,275.
I'm listening, but I'm not fully listening. Hang tight. I'm just gotta remember, Steve, I'm literally 3 feet away from you, but I have to get off the bed, in the door, be close, in quiet, and go get everything, come back in. Remember, the girlfriend's back, which means she makes weird noises at a random.
This is for the audience too, of course, Anthony. I'll throw Purdy in for my 3 touchdown passes. And now this $10 one pays $7,715. All right. Again, Love for 300 yards plus. Reed for a touchdown. St. Brown for a touchdown. Ayuk for a touchdown. McCaffrey for a touchdown. Pollard and Lamb. Purdy for 3 passing touchdowns. $10 pays $7,715. I'm going to at least have to do 5 on it.
My only concern with Purdy is I don't know if he's going to have to throw it that much. Because Seattle just looks terrible. Because remember, Walker's not playing.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker's not playing. It's a fade under for me for Seattle. Now, here's the thing. The Niners could get up 20 and coast to home. That's where you might see McCaffrey's props go off, to be honest, is because they get the big lead. How about this, Ant? Let's just cover the last game. We'll get on out of here. How about the Jets and the Dolphins? Is it the green light for Miami for you, or are you going to be hesitant against the Jets defense?
I'm more excited the fact that this is the first Black Friday game we've ever seen.
Yeah, this has CP Shuckers maybe written all over it, to be honest.
I'll be there.
You know what, Dave? Actually, you know what? I'm glad you're on the call. You might be our Uber because I just found out I'm not working tomorrow.
Yep, I got a little bit to do some work, and then Oklahoma at noon and hockey at 3.
I got to do a Friday soccer paycheck. I'm going to do that in the morning because we do have EPL returning, boys and girls.
Right.
With a big game, Liverpool, Manchester City, first thing in the morning when we wake up Saturday. How about that? So Friday soccer paycheck special will go down at 10 a.m. tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. Okay, best bet for the Dolphins game, Anthony. What do you got? What's your best play? Your one thing you would take?
Tyreek for 100 and a score.
All right.
Keep it simple.
Tyreek for
honestly, keep it simple.
Tyreek for 100 and a score. So we'll throw in Ayuk for 100 and a score. Who would be your receivers in the other games? St. Brown, keep it obvious, and CD.
You know what? Let's keep it simple. Honestly, Amon-Ra, CD, Ayuk. I don't know about 100, but maybe 70 or 80 in a score, and then Tyreek. Keep it simple.
All right.
Look,
let's just see what it pays.
Yeah, see what you got on that.
I'll go Ayuk for 80 since it's plus 158.
Okay.
We'll take him for a touchdown. And these are the bets the Ant-Man has been winning here, too. So he's been on fire with these kind of guys, with some of these suspects included, too, to be honest. Let's see. Ayuk for a touchdown, just a hair slowed to load. That by itself is plus 314. With the Cowboys game, we'll take anytime touchdown with CD. What do you want to do for CD's receiving props? I think he gets to 100 today. Right?
Might as well shift them up to 100. I'm actually now that I finally got my phone up and running, I'm actually a little bit nervous about Amon-Ra. He was at plus 105 yesterday. Now he's at plus 110. Why?
Because they don't want you to take him. CD just plus 104 for 100 yards. Let's see. Amon-Ra. Now you could go with a Packer if you want, since Love's going to have his yards. But this is the square. This is the square play right here. Shoot, Jameson Williams' alternate yards is through the roof. I'll tell you that right now.
The only reason I would take Jameson Williams is praying that Jared Goff actually finds him on some random broken route. Because I know he scored last week, but it's like he just runs in straight lines.
He has one or two drops too. Let's see. No, Quentin Johnson's the one with all the drops. He's the guy whose stock is down with us.
The guy who we just found out his number in like 2 minutes ago in the fourth quarter.
Right. Sorry, this is slow to load here. I should be a little faster on the draw. Okay, so I got the 3 guys for today in here. And let me add in Tyreek. I'm going to have to do this too, I think.
No, I'm actually doing it myself. I'm glad this is a nice quietness right now.
Tyreek Hill, alternate receiving yards, just 100. 100 is plus 178. Okay, here you go for $10. Tyreek for a touchdown and 100. St. Brown for a touchdown and 100. CD Lamb for a touchdown and 100. Ayuk for a touchdown and 80. $10 paid, 1,670.
And that's totally okay. That's a win.
David, you good with that?
I'm good with it.
All right, guys.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
Hey, just I have to throw this out because I was reading about this. While I was pretty much sitting in the airport, I was poking around saying, why are they playing on Black Friday? Do you guys know anything about this?
They just figured there's not an NFL game on Fridays. There's the college games. Everyone loves football, and let's throw a football game on. Dude, I remember after Thanksgiving as a kid in like 3rd grade, turning on the TV, and there's Nebraska playing like Colorado or something like that.
Yeah,
Colorado. And I'm like, dude, this
Nebraska.
is awesome.
Yeah, at 1:20.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big day for sports tomorrow.
Yep. Anthony, look at the college basketball games today. It's like the March Madness Sweet 16.
I was getting to my actual point.
Go ahead.
In your guys' spare time, unless, Steve, you are in the mood to go to the Googles, there is this thing called the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I should know this as a sports broadcaster, but go ahead.
You should know a little bit about this because that's why there was never a game on Black Friday or Friday in general. Pretty much, in short, they didn't want the NFL to ruin high school or colleges or any college, high school sporting events on Fridays or Saturday, but they did a little wiggle around and they made a deal.
Interesting. Yeah.
So in short, again, you can't have an NFL game on a Friday before 6 p.m., which is why this game is at 3 p.m.
Interesting.
Technically, even though it's probably going to go past 6.
Yeah, they'll find a way to get this on prime time.
And then also, I want to say that the reason why you guys all remember or know of NFL games on Saturdays, they're not really until mid-December-ish and then past, because they don't allow it until like the second week and past because of the college and high school schedule, because that's how terrified they are of the NFL ruining college and high school sports.
With big money conglomerates, they don't care about that anymore. They'll find a way to eliminate that act at some point if this still around. But yes, I didn't know that you couldn't play. That's always been the thing. No NFL on Friday for the high school. I didn't know that as I didn't know there was an official act on that.
I want to bring this up because I never heard about this until last night, and I'm reading about it. I'm like, holy shit! I wonder if these guys even know about it. Pretty much, Amazon is paying the NFL $100 million to let them do it, and the NFL is like, I don't care. But, we can't do it because of this. We can't do it because of this. That's why the Jets and the Dolphins are playing at 3 tomorrow.
All right, boys, let's go for 2. We'll cue up the most popular sounder in all of sports broadcasting.
Two.
Here we go.
Johnny.
4 weeks. 20 papers, that's $2 plus tip.
Gee, Johnny, I don't have a dime. Sorry.
Didn't ask for a dime. $2.
I give you 2.5 and a Rick Bell.
It's a jungle out there. You got to look out for number 1, but don't step in number 2.
Utah, give me 2.
And Jimmy 2 times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like...
I'm going to go get the papers.
All right. Only this show can take 3 hours plus to break down 4 football games, so we're proud of that, for sure. If you've been listening all morning, we thank you. This is our segment. We go for 2. The Lions and the Packers game, your best 2 touchdown scorers today. I'll give you a good one, and I'll give you a long shot. Anyway, if you're going to give me 2, I'm going to take Montgomery. It's going to be a Montgomery day for me at the end of the day. So 2 touchdowns for David Montgomery at plus 360 is fine. And if I'm going to do a long shot one today, and plus 370 now for Montgomery, in my long shot one, big payout guy, man, I do like some Jaden Reed at 26-1. Probably even better than Jamison Williams because the Lions have so many mouths to feed. Give me Jaden Reed at 26-1, who has quietly seemingly been the favorite target here of one Jordan Love. So 26-1 for Jaden Reed for me for a long shot. In the next game with the Cowboys and the Commanders, let's see here. 2 touchdowns for me. I'm gonna stick with CD Lamb at plus 700. So that's a big number for me. Just him and Jaden Reed for 2 alone, $5 pays $1,075 just for those 2 guys to get 2 touchdowns. Long shot play in this one. Go ahead and give me, man. How about if you think the Commanders are going to score, give me Logan Thomas at 55-1. Your Jahan Dotson, Anthony, is at 33-1 for 2 touchdowns today, which is a big payout. So maybe he's the guy. You know what? Let's throw your Jahan Dotson in there. So Jaden Reed and Jahan Dotson for 2 pays $4,585 in the San Francisco game. As if for a 2 touchdown score, basically at the baseline of easiness. You know what? Go ahead and give me Kittle. I like Kittle for the 2 touchdowns today to sneak in there. Debo might get some yards, but I think in the red zone they're going to find Kittle today. He seems to be like a Seahawk killer as it is. But if you're going to give me a long shot, and again, this computer is just a little hair slow to load here.
Well, as you're waiting for loading,
yes.
I can't believe the fact that Pollard is plus 260 to score twice and Lamb is plus 700 to score.
You're getting a great number. Yeah, that tells you they're what they want. Pollard. They're telling you they think Pollard's going to score for sure. You know,
they're hoping because, like I said earlier, Pollard was supposed to explode last week and he didn't. So now they're saying he's going to explode this week, right? It's Thanksgiving. Everyone's watching. This is the Pollard game. That's insane, though. Plus 260, the next op is plus 700. Sheesh.
Boys, you could literally do this for 25 cents today if you want to for $3,442. Kittles for 2, Dotson for 2, Jaden Reed for 2. $5 pays $68,845 on Kittles. You can throw Ayuk in there as well if you want to round robin that style. So I'll throw him in there, Ayuk, and I'll throw in Kittle. Go ahead and give me to the next game tomorrow as well for 2, and I'll throw Tyreek in there, and I'll throw in one more Dolphin. Give me Achane for 2. How about that? Maybe he gets back into the fold of things. Quick to load.
While you're waiting,
yep,
I'm gonna give you my little $5 2 touchdown parlay.
All right,
that's everything you haven't said yet.
Okay,
so I'm kind of trying to zigzag just a hair. You talked about David Montgomery. Why not take Jamar Gibbs at plus 490? You kept talking about Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. What about Jake Ferguson? He's been on a run. And you brought up every other 49er except, well, you brought up Debo a few times, but you spoke more about McCaffrey, Kittle, and Ayuk.
Debo is Dave Del Grande's favorite guy for sure earlier.
Debo's 14, Ferguson's 13, Jamar Gibbs is 490, and I'm putting $5 on this right now. $5 pays 6,100.
Nice.
That's big.
So,
repeat the players one more time.
Jamar Gibbs,
yep.
Debo Samuel, Jake Ferguson.
$5 pays 6,100.
Yep.
I'm on board.
Nice.
I'm on board. Let's see here. 2 touchdown scores. And this is going to be another long shot here. No, this is going to be a crazy random round robin guy. So I'm going to throw CD back in here. I'm trying to throw all my OGs in here. I'm just trying to give you a ridiculous payout on this front. So stand by here. One more. Let me go ahead and throw in, since we have Reed, I'll go ahead and throw in you know what? Let me throw in Dobbs for the fun of it, since he's paying so much. Okay. There's no way you can bet all 8 of these because there's not enough money in the pot to give you a payout. So we need to go to a round robin style. And so if any of these 3 score, and one has to be from each game, Dobbs, Lamb, Breece Hall, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Jahan Dotson, Jaden Reed. You have 32 different 3-game parlays. $3,000 off 50 cent off a 50-cent bet is about the average. So 3,200, 300. No, 50 cents would be about. Do I got my numbers right? 300? Yeah, that's about right. Not 3,000, 300. So if you do $1, that is a $32 bet here. Maybe the thing to do is to do about 4s, because that would just be one from each game. Okay, now we're talking with some gas. So if you happen to hit one of these from each game, Jaden Reed or Dobbs. Actually, we want to throw in a Lion. We don't want to throw in a Packer. So let's throw in let's throw Jameson back in there, Jameson Williams. I know this is all confusing. Okay, so one from each game. So either Jameson Williams or Dobbs, either CD or Dotson, either Kittle or Ayuk, and either Tyreek or Breece Hall. You have 16 different 4-game parlays. And for $1, a $16 bet, your average payout would be, wow, this is going to be big. 2,000, let's see, 16 goes in, that's 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, about $8,500. All right, off of $16. If you either hit Dobbs or Williamson, Tyreek or Breece Hall, Ayuk or Kittle, and let's see, CD and Dotson. Did we say that? Yeah, Kittle, Ayuk, Hill, Hall, Dobbs, or Jameson Williams. It's so confusing and so much fun. Man, we love the NFL. All right, boys, any locks of the day? Any super locks that you have? I will just say it's Montgomery and CD Lamb for me. And go ahead and give me under Geno Smith passing yards 234. David?
Yeah, Steve, I'm going with CD Lamb. Sprinkle in a Robinson. I think he punches it in. And then it's a Montgomery type of day.
All right, Anthony, your super locks.
Amon Ra and Jake Ferguson. And then if I really want to go easy, I'm going to go McCaffrey, but we all know that. I like that use the most. And I know we have to get off the phone. Obviously, I came late, and you guys are like, great, Anthony came on. Now he's not going to shut up. But we actually have to go grocery shop because this game's starting in about an hour. I have to make it over call. I don't know if you guys know about this. I don't know if it's been brought up with this Lions game, but Luke Musgrave's not playing. Tucker Kraft is the replacement. Have you guys looked at that at all?
Tucker Kraft, we mentioned his name at some point, but his number today
410. Anyway, like I said, we're actually trying to go grocery shop, come back so I can at least poke around for a little bit. I'm gonna throw out the worst parlay you've ever heard of, and this parlay completely consists of guys you don't want to score, and they're going to score anyway and ruin your day. And Steve, I will actually send you this, and I'm laughing hysterically because you brought up one of the guys. Tucker Kraft, Josh Reynolds, Jalen Tolbert, John Bate, Jackson Smith and Jigma, and Jawan Jennings. Do you know any of those 6 players?
Yes, I know 5 of the 6 anyway. But let me guess the payout on 10. I would say that 10 pays out $40,000.
10 pays $630,000.
Oh my God!
And you know what I'm going to do?
Put a dollar on it. Put a dollar on it. Anyway,
I'm going to put $5 on it. Hell with it.
There you go. Big.
What I've been doing, I'm going to round robin this, at least for the 2s and the 3s.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a fun way to do that one because you're going to get some decent payouts for that. Yes, send me that.
Because if these weirdos score, I'll be like, holy shit.
Right.
I don't know what other weirdos score.
Well, Tommy Trimble, all day.
Tommy Trimble, he did score.
Tommy Trimble might be the lock of the weekend against the Titans, to be honest. All right, boys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Everyone out there, if you're traveling, be safe wherever you are. Eat good food, and hopefully you are surrounded by everyone who is important in your life. And if you're around anyone annoying, trust me, I've had plenty of that in my years. Just, leave early if you have to. That's all you got to do.
No, if they're annoying and they don't have anything nice to say, tell them to come over to my place and talk to me.
There you go. As Antonio Brown once said, every day could be a half day if you just left. All right, guys, we'll be back Sunday morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. I'll start with Del Grande, and then we'll get us in the studio to talk what it looks like a ridiculous slate of football for Week 12. Good luck. Happy Thanksgiving.